That's right. Friday night, New York. Here we go, guys. We got a great show for you guys. I'm very excited about tonight. Just a lot of stuff's been going on. A lot of people wrote me, actually, in the past couple of days saying, Mooch, I don't even know what you're going to do a CrossFire on. And then, long and behold, Thursday night and Friday morning happened. And I got to be honest with you, a lot of great topics kind of sprouted up in the past 24 hours. A lot of things have the community buzzing, speaking, giving their 2 cents on it. We've got an amazing panel. Look at this panel. Will you look at this dais? An outstanding panel for you guys tonight. This is just great for me. It's great for you guys. Let's do this real quick, guys. Please do hit the like button. Take a second to hit that subscribe button. If you will, above that description, there's a join button. It would mean the world to me. Please join the Mooch Maniac family members. Guys, we got an outstanding show. Let me just thank each one of these guys one by one, and then I'm going to get to this panel because we have so many topics. And you know, Mooch has been doing better. We've been doing a lot better. We've been only doing, usually we do 1 or 2 topics. We've gotten up to 5 or 6, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Let's see if we can keep that going on. Let's keep that momentum forward, folks. That being said, let me say thanks to the great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Kn1ght Ripper7, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, Jamie, Damion, CJ UK, the great Jimmy Harrison. Let's get that correct, okay? It's not Jimmy Harrison. It's not Jimmy. It's the great Jimmy Harrison. He's here in the chat. Zombilla Ice Cream, Andy Hart, Replicant, Ola Mocha starts off our major Mooch Maniacs, Domino Zero, Supreme Samurai, Who Are You 5, your boy Roy, Smokes 901, Tactical Gamer, Donnell Brown. Wait a minute. Donnell told me I'm saying it wrong. He said, Mooch, you're saying it wrong. It's Don L. Brown. Donnell, make sure I say it right. See, I said it wrong again. Donnell, let me know if I'm saying it right. I have no idea. That guy, Smitty, 4-star General, Brian B., a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Shadow Assassin, Fork Boy Gaming, Rated D Demonic, Strictly! Shout out to Strictly Gaming, the Wise Old Gamer, and the great Percolator 9000. And our honorable mentions, we miss you guys. You're out there without food, water, or toilet. Come home. God of War, Slaying Chilean, the great Marty Bison, who I played a little bit of Wonderlands with earlier. Great guy. Brian Carter, Gaming with Persona, and Remarkable Nights in our forever Mooch Maniac Longshot 316. Guys, again, let me just remind everybody that's here now. Please tweet it out. Let people know. Call a family member. Let them know. Mooch is live. Who's Mooch? Get to know him. Just click the link, guys. Hit a button. That being said, let me get to my first person on the panel. You guys know him. He's a usual suspect. He's extremely ready for tonight because me and him have been talking in the DMs for 7 days straight. The great Crap Gamer is back again. Crap, how the hell are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to getting into the topics. Should be a good show, but you got a lot of people introduced, so get at it.
All right, Crap, I appreciate that. Thank you. Without any further ado, okay, the reason he was a couple of minutes late was he had to refuel over in St. Louis, but he came in tonight from Redmond, and boy, is he going to need him because Aaron made a tweet, and he's got to have legal at the CrossFire, the great Xbot 448, the Xbox Defense 30s here. Xbot, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Yo, what is going on, man? What is up, chat? What is up, panel? Guys, I am thinking about changing my name from Xbot 448 to the Tarnished Bot.
Wow.
448 because Elden Ring is that damn good.
It is good. It is good, and I'm glad you're in love with it, Xbot, because it's a fantastic game.
Goodness. Oh my god, I could go on, but no, you got more people to introduce here, man.
Appreciate that, Xbot. Well, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get to Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. BRAP, a.k.a. PC Rules this week. Who knows what he's going to be next week. BRAP, hopefully you had a little tomato juice, maybe a little water after those beers, but how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. I'm just, sitting on top of Mount Olympus, which is code for PC. Sipping my tea and just, observing the console peasants. That's
I see.
All.
Well, that's very nice of you. Well, listen, while you're up there, if you could just throw me a shilling or something, that would be very kind of you.
We're kind of like the Yankees of gaming,
Well, the old Yankees, not the new one.
Well,
we'll see.
Historically speaking.
Like to think of the new generation being the Mets. Nonetheless, we'll get into sports later. Sports! With that being said, I've got a couple of great special guests here, guys. I'm very, very excited to have these guys on. You guys know that tonight is going to be quite an interesting show. We've got a lot of polarizing kind of topics that get people kind of agitated one way or the other, and I love it. When I have a show like this, I've got to call in my console, my guy, the man himself, the voice of reason. Eric Jackson's with us again. And Eric, I know I may only have you for a limited amount of time tonight, so I'm going to utilize you as much as possible for the common sense that we need. Eric, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me once again. I'm glad also that you checked BRAP, because like one week he's PC, next week he's console
you
guy.
Never know.
He's buying consoles, just sitting in the corner collecting dust. He's sitting drinks on them and stuff. You know, that's my guy.
Look, I support. Look, I support the industry. What can I say?
Now you got to do the default BRAP. I play on everything.
I'm a neutral.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're a neutral, all right, there, BRAP. We're gonna get into that, guys. By the end of the show, we'll do a vote. We'll see if BRAP's a neutral. We'll vote at the end of the show. Eric, great to have you with us tonight. You do have kids. This is that's the truth. Listen, I want
a team.
I want you to introduce this next panel member, another guest that we have on tonight.
I do have a team, Eric.
As soon as BRAP,
I call them the Miami Heat.
BRAP is going to get the award for the longest pre-show before we can go live award.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's fine.
Eric got me going.
He got you riled up. That's okay. That's fair.
Yeah, he
did.
Totally fair. He got me riled up.
But I really want to introduce this next guest because I got a chance to go on to Press Start podcast a week ago, and I got to tell you, man, it was a heartfelt show because the guys are not doing that weekly show. They are still going to do reunions. They're still going to get together. So shout out to Kofi, shout out to Alex, shout out to Jack. But, you know, I really wanted to get my New Yorker in the house again because I know he's doing his own content now. He's doing his thing. Great to have the great JMain518. Jay is with us tonight. Jay, honestly, welcome to the show. It's been a while, but I'm excited to have you back. And tonight's a great night because you are, like me, a New Yorker. You're very opinionated, and I can't wait to get your take. So how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Definitely appreciate you guys having me back on here. Shout out to the chat. But like you said, PSP is, going to be no longer on a weekly basis. So I got to, figure out where I'm going to spread around my podcast talents these days. And where else better than the CrossFire pod. So,
yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Jay. You know what? Listen, you know me. I'm a mooch, right? So what am I going to do? I see great talent. I'm like, I got to mooch this man over to the show. So that's what I do.
Like the Mets.
That's right. That's what we do.
Go Mets.
Let's go, baby.
Free
agency market is hot right now.
Actually, you were like the Yankees.
So I appreciate Jay being here. And then, I got our last panel member right now. Again, Worry Wart may be joining us later on tonight. We'll see. Shout out to Game Logic, man. Logic, by the way, I want to say shout out to you, man. You've been in the chat. You've been such a big part of the show. You've been on BRAP a number of times. I listen to you. We follow each other on Twitter. It's going to be great to finally be able to talk to you about these topics and not have to write the 200 characters back and forth throughout the chat. So shout out to you. Logic, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you this evening? Now, Logic, you're muted still.
Sorry, I don't usually use that software mute. I got a hardware mute over here. Hey, the gaming conversation does not fit into one tweet because it's too complex. So it'll be good to finally be able to talk it out with some of you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, shout out to everybody that's here. I see a bunch of the Mooch Maniac family members. It really means a lot to me. See Jack out there. The Great Pope is here, by the way. Guys, just in case you don't know, that's the Great Pope Art. That is the Pope Art. That's not an impersonator. That is him. The formerly known as the Xbox Pope is here. So this show is blessed. Guys, please do tweet it out. Let everybody know we are going to get started here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Jay Main. Jay, listen.
Yo.
I just want to get your take on this because this is really going to be, we got to go first and foremost.
I love that, yo.
He knows what's coming already. So
it's like Scott Hall. Hey, yo.
He knows it's on the way. Here comes the pitch. And I got to be honest with you, Jay. We talked about this last generation a lot. Me and Crap really had a lot of great discussions on M&C, bunch of different shows last generation about VGChartz. We used to say all the time that VGChartz was not a credible, it was just not a credible source for any type of gaming, if you want to say calculations or accumulations, et cetera, down the road. So then we saw that Aaron retweeted out, which, by the way, he was just tweeting him about his brand. I am going to speak because, like I said, I was talking to Crap today, and Crap made some great points. He said, basically, Mooch, they are talking about their own brand here. It was nothing against Sony. It was just promoting their own brand. But this was also something where 10 years ago or more, where they found a tweet where it said, hey, listen, we don't really recognize VGChartz. And really, even though people say things can change, things definitely can change. No one's ever given VGChartz that credibility over the 10 to 12 years. So as far as we've all said, if I said to you, Jay, clearly according to VGChartz, you'd be like, Mooch, listen, VGChartz is not something that's actually known to be a credible source. So, Jay, when you saw everything kind of transpire over the past 24 hours, where were you when you read it? How did you kind of take it in? And what's your general opinion of VGChartz?
Well, to be honest, I kind of saw this coming because over the past, few months or so, the Xbox It's been selling good. It's been in stock. People have been able to pick one up, whether it's the S or the Series X when they're available. And I'm seeing a lot of people now retweeting VGChartz that I'm like, wait a minute. Just like I could easily type into your Twitter profile and go, you just a few years ago you were telling us that VGChartz is not credible, and how a lot of like developers and even like publishers have come out and said that those numbers aren't accurate. So what has changed now that you're using this source as, you know, something that's credible to retweet and comment about? So when Aaron Greenberg retweeted the thing, I'm like, I didn't even look, because I actually had this conversation with Kid Smooth a few weeks ago where I'm like, wait, just a few years ago you were saying something else about VGChartz, and he's like, well, the fanboys were using it then, I'm using it now. What are you gonna do about it? But I'm like, I didn't even see the Aaron Greenberg tweet. I'm like, I don't even have to look up his tweets to know that he probably has a tweet from years ago that says VGChartz is incredible. And I went into the comments and I saw it there already. I'm like, yep, this is hilarious. It's hilarious to me that, and I'm not hating on the Xbox. Like, I want all these consoles to do well. I actually care about game sales. A lot of people say, like, why do you care about game sales? I like to, you know, look at the market, look at the forecast, see like how things are selling, how, you know, maybe things going forward might be and stuff like that based on what we get. So I like to see stuff like that. But when people are saying one thing about a source and then another thing now that it's more favorable, I would say, I'm gonna call you out on that. I'm sorry. I just got to.
Well, you know, and I'm glad you said what you said. I say that every week. You guys know that. Anybody that's listening to the show now or later, anyone on the panel knows this. People always say to me, Mooch, why do you care? Well, Jay, I mean, part of the reason that we get on and talk games and it's not just, hey, Jay, did you have fun playing video games this week? Yeah, Mooch, I had a great time playing video games. We can wrap the show up right there, right? No, we kind of get into it, right? We do a little bit of and I think maybe we do some of the digging and things that, like, some of the gaming journalists, some do a really, really good job of digging and getting the story, and some really seem to do a very top level, you know, just safe way to go about it. And I think that a lot of gamers want to know the inside numbers. They want to know the track. They want to know what's happening, right?
Yes.
So, you know, let's get to it. I mean, Game Logic, let me get to you, because Logic, you've been extremely vocal about a lot of this stuff. What's your take when you hear what's going on? And really, again, this is not necessarily the Aaron Greenberg tweet isn't really what's on the stand right now. That's his prerogative. He's in charge. That's his job, right?
That's what he gets paid to do.
That's what he gets paid to do. So nothing really irks me about that necessarily. But is it, in your opinion, Logic, is this a credible source? Is this something that we need to start taking serious from now on, or not really?
Well, there's two different conversations around this topic, right? So number one is the VGChartz topic. Number two is the Microsoft Xbox sales numbers topic. The VGChartz topic, I mean, I guess the question is kind of back to the panel. I know that people have said, well, VGChartz isn't credible. I would question that statement and question whether or not what we're saying is VGChartz is not perfectly accurate, or are we saying VGChartz is just totally not credible? Because my question from somebody who is analyzing and assessing the market is, if you're not using VGChartz, what are you using? Now,
NPD.
Okay, so I would challenge that most people do not pay to subscribe to NPD. So the only way that you get access to those numbers is when they're reported by another media journalist. So you're getting the information third hand. Second of all, you don't have historic access to that information. And that, to me, is part of the biggest problem in trying to conduct market research. Is the only thing you can do is, unless you bookmark every single, you know, quarterly report that comes out from a set of analysts, the only way you can go back and get historical data, if you're looking at trying to find game sales for a game that isn't new on the market, what do you use?
Can I challenge you on that? The NPD numbers come from well, not numbers, but the charts and stuff come from an executive director from the NPD group, Matt Piscatella.
I know where they come from, but I'm saying when you go to get them, not everybody knows Matt Piscatella. Not everybody tracks his specific articles. Most people don't necessarily get them from him. Most of them go to a third-party website and read the synopsis, because most people also aren't looking at the raw data as he presents it.
Yeah.
I find a lot of... Go ahead. Yeah.
No, just the other two thing, Game Logic, is Matt is not giving us the actual units sold, right? He's giving us the numbers of, okay, the Nintendo Switch sold the most, or Nintendo Switch was sold the most in terms of dollars per sale, right? So we don't know, and they can't share that. Like I've talked to Benji Sales about this, and he's like, I can't disclose that. I can't give you what the actual numbers are, because that would be a violation of whatever, NDA or something, right? So so even then we're not getting the actual numbers per se. We just know who sold the most units per month and who sold the most dollars per month, right? So that's the other thing too. Like we're not getting the information they're getting. They're giving us kind of a high level view of that. Which is what VGChartz is taking now. They're taking that information that we see and extrapolating that, which is why I said kind of take what VGChartz is saying with a grain of salt.
Okay. Right, and I think the thread that I'm on is I don't look at them as being totally with zero credibility, right? They're somewhere on a scale that's granted less than Piscatella's number, but I'm saying if you have to go back and do historical data, because I frequently do this, I go back 8, 9, 10 years, and I'm trying to look something up. There aren't really better sources to quickly get to for somebody who has a regular day job, right? To try and pull a synopsis together. And I think that there's a potential that you can use them if you use them wisely. Right now, the big problem with 99% of the people in the gaming conversation is everybody loves to spike the football. Right, so everybody is trying to look for the definitive thing that says that their console won, and absolutely you can't use VGChartz for that because you're trying to, in that case, make a binary statement, which you should never do in the first place, right? And so you can't lean on them for that. The second part of that conversation is, what about the Microsoft sales numbers and them not reporting it? And what I wrote today on Twitter, and kind of you guys just kind of went through, is I get it. Gamers care. Microsoft doesn't. They're playing a completely different game. They're a $2.1 trillion company. The gaming division is not the center of their strategy. They're much more interested in cloud and enterprise services. They have $132 billion cash on hand. The total market cap valuation of Sony right now is about $109 billion. Microsoft has enough cash on hand, the corporation, to buy Sony and pay cash. Right. Today. Yep. I'm exaggerating those terms just a little bit for the sake of the argument, but you get the point, right? Sony's total cash on hand is about like 44 million. So when you look at what a lot of people try to look at, which is mergers and acquisitions and how the two companies are competing and how the strategies are oriented, they are on radically different scales and they are playing totally different games. My argument, quite frankly, most of the time is it's not even really credible or there isn't much point in it to really have a conversation comparing those two gaming divisions, because they're just divisions within a corporation, and the center of mass of the PlayStation division is much greater and is of much more importance to Sony than Microsoft Games is to Microsoft. Now, that might change after the Activision Blizzard M&A, but that's not what it is today.
Well, I want to say one thing here. I want to say, and I don't know who was just going to chime in. Jay, if that's you, I'll give you the mic right back. But I want to say shout out to Capone, who's in the chat. Capone says, when we get to a point, we'll see when these things are all on the shelf. This is the one thing that I've been saying time and time again for the past months. This has nothing to do with the tweet from yesterday. Months now. When everyone's saying Xbox is clearly doing better than they did last generation. That's without a doubt. That's not really even discussable, right? That's just something that's on the table. But the one thing,
they're doing better than they did at this point in time on the 360 era.
That's fine. That's fantastic. But the one thing
that's crazy.
You could say that as well. I'm right there with you, Xbot. But when people are like, "Well, Xbox is beating the pants out of PlayStation," that's where I kind of have a problem. Because if there's nothing on the shelf for PlayStation, then you can't really say, it's like I always joke around. It's like saying you beat somebody in a race and the other person had one leg. It's not really fair or appropriate to say that.
Hold on.
That's not appropriate.
But that person put themselves in that race. And I hear what you're saying about there's no stock out there, but whose fault is that? That's Sony's fault.
It's actually not just Sony's fault. It's not. There's a shortage on everything. I can't even get paint.
If another company can get it to the point where they're getting chips and they're producing these machines at a certain number and they're getting them out there, then NPD and stuff like that is showing how much they're selling, then it's on Sony.
Xbot, did you hear what Logic just broke down? And I even heard you chuckle when he said that Microsoft could buy Sony in cash. Okay,
dude,
you're talking about a company that walks in.
I think Logic is a great dude. I love what he said.
No, I know, but Xbot, if you had a bakery, right, and you can only pump out 100 cupcakes a day, okay, and you got 2 birthday parties, mine and BRAP's, all of a sudden I come in and I go, listen, my numbers just went up. It was going to be 50-50. You were going to have enough for both of us. Now I come in with more money than BRAP, and I go, listen, I need 90. I need 90 of the 100 you can output in a day, and I go, listen, I'm about to pay you 5 times the worth of what the 50 were going to be. You're taking my money.
Business.
But I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, can you blame BRAP for not putting up 5 times the money if he doesn't have it? That's not his fault. You said who's to blame for that? Well, it's not Sony's fault. They can't maneuver Microsoft financially. It's just not within their means. So when you're going to go and
keep in perspective too that the PlayStation 5 is still outselling the Xbox. Like that's still
worldwide,
a fact of the situation. Like overall, the total.
Yes.
And can I play like the devil's advocate for a second?
There's no way that like a platform is just gonna by the snap of their fingers all of a sudden, sell to the point, sell 5-6 million more at that point in time.
But what part of that too could possibly also be the fact that maybe their demand is slowing down a bit too.
Who's demand?
Like for the Series X and the One S. Or the Series S. Because I'm gonna say this because BRAP shared something in our DM one day that showed how much more it has sold over the Xbox One, and I just kind of made the joke like, oh, so that means most of the hardcore who every time they put the Halo series up or whatever, they bought like 2 or 3 themselves. That's just a joke because the number I was like, oh, it's a few million more than where the Xbox One has been. So I mean, yeah, part of that could be
the demand is higher because I think people are like, if there's nothing else on shelves, like no PS5 or something like that, then they just they're going to settle for the Series S or the X.
PS5 because I mean, you got people robbing people in the streets for PS5s, at gunpoint and stuff like that. Really? It's like a wild war. Yeah. That was like a news report, in New York actually, not Florida for once.
Not Florida for once. Leave Florida alone.
We always get with everything down here, but
But here's my thing: is that the conversation of supply and demand for these two consoles is not a binary linear conversation. I think the PlayStation market that they're primarily trying to address and can address is the market of return customers that they need to get. They already had an install base of 140 million or so last generation, right? They're trying to bring all those customers back. I don't think that their total growth potential is that much greater beyond their install base. And so over the short range life cycle of this generation, I don't expect there to be that much growth potential in their install base, right? It's mostly going to be turnover. It's going to be people upgrading from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5.
Well, Logic, with you saying that though, Logic, you do PlayStation decided that they were going to make 1 million more PS4s this year, and I can understand why.
Sure, right.
Make sure that there's systems out there for God of War, for Horizon Forbidden West, all that, their first party to come out and stuff. But if they're relying on switching people over, they're also looking for new people as well.
I think there's going to be some growth. I'm saying I don't expect it to be explosive growth. Whereas on the Xbox side, I don't expect there to be necessarily explosive growth there. But my point is their addressable market is different than the PlayStation market because there are more people that can afford to buy a $300 console than there are people who can afford to buy.
That's the other thing. That's another move. Well, you call it genius. I call it probably a handicap when you actually get the next. The minute we get because the problem when you get to next year when we have the next iteration of games that are coming out, because let's think about it right now. There's nothing out from Xbox right now that's pushing technologically or driving these machines to their farthest yet. We're going to start seeing that as of the end of this year into next year. We're already seeing games where the S is having a hard time or struggling. You can go ahead and say that that's a developer issue, but I'm saying that I think that eventually with time, as we progress through this, that you're going to see the S kind of feel like it's being held back a bit. Number 2, and I'll give the mic to you, BRAP, after this, is that when you look at the actual fact of the S, that's the reason you're seeing a lot. It's what Logic just said. So if you don't like the way I'm saying it, Logic just said it as well. That's the reason you're seeing when you see Xbox is really holding up or catching up to PlayStation. If it was really just Xbox Series X versus PS5, that number would largely differentiate. There would be a huge gap between the two. The S is what's making this somewhat closer. And I still think when you think about it, yes, of course, the S has the CPU that's capable, but it has a very, very low, it has a weaker GPU than the Xbox Series X and PS5. And you're going to see that that's going to be kind of like a shoehorn as you kind of move forward. It's really going to hold it back a bit. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think what Eric was trying to say too is that, there's obviously there's a group of people that are going to buy consoles like year 1, year 2, right? Or year 1, let's say. And obviously the pandemic has probably put a damper into those year one purchases, right? Because of shortages. And I think what Eric is saying is the reason why we're seeing Xbox on readily available on store shelves. Does that have to do with the fact that they have satisfied those early adapters, right? They're the people that are going to buy those consoles like day one, whatever, that couldn't do it. And is that why we're seeing that, right? As opposed to Microsoft just being able to buy all these chips and outproduce and put, consoles on store shelves. I think that's a fair question to ask, right? Like have they hit that point before Sony where, they have sold all the consoles that those early adopters would have bought. Have they appeased that appetite? And that's why you're seeing these consoles readily available on store shelves. Now, maybe, this is totally anecdotal. We talked to Forte. Forte will tell you the Xbox consoles tend to be sit on his shelves a little bit longer than the PlayStation 5 consoles when he gets them in retail, right? And so that could be the case. Again, this isn't. I'm not trying to say that because people will be like, "Oh, you just hate on Microsoft." It's not hating on Microsoft. Just a question, right?
It's a legit question that you
could
ask
that be happening?
Because also SKU wise, they also put a Halo Series X out there that sold really well and sold out, and you would have to imagine that went to a lot of hardcore fans.
Absolutely.
Because let's be real, you have fans who buy multiple consoles.
Yeah. Well, real quick, Mooch, were you talking about the Series S and kind of like holding it back as we move forward? The thing about that is you were talking about first party within that, that they haven't really released that first party. And I can point right back to Forza Horizon 5 and what they did with how the game runs and looks on the Series X and how the game runs and looks on the Series S.
Well,
now,
actually, Xbox,
Granted, the Series S, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the Series X version has.
It looks like doo-doo butter on the Series S.
What?
No, I mean, listen.
That's where I spend most of my time playing it on. And it looks
Xbox.
I want to take
Xbox. Let me take a step back, though. I actually I agree with what you're saying. I really do. The part I'm actually referring to is not the first party games. I'm referring to the third party. No, the third party, because third party's been cross-gen for the most part as well. I'm saying we have not seen anything really coming out pushing these machines. We've seen Sony do it a bit with Ratchet and Clank, maybe Return or whatever. They have a couple that are Demon Souls. That's fine. Those are PS5 exclusives. You want to go ahead and go there, we can. That's not really what I'm referring to. I'm talking about next gen. We've already seen situations where the S is kind of hurting and lagging a bit behind, and these are cross-gen games. So when we start to really push these systems, which they're going to do starting 2023, actually 2022 for Starfield, if you will, and then even further as they expand out and the developers are more useful with the SDKs, etc., with the box. So that's more of what my concern is with the S.
I think that argument circles back in on itself, right? So what I would contend is that over time, all of the developers are going to get better at scaling, right? Especially while they're working all in the same architecture and in the same kind of environment that they're going to have to deploy games for the PC, right, as Xbox. If you look at the PC market, right, the prevalent GPU is the GTX 1060, right? That is a GPU that came out 6 years ago, right? That is a target that cannot be ignored when you're developing for PC because your biggest part of the addressable market is playing on that hardware. If Microsoft, who's not giving us the numbers, obviously, is communicating numbers to its partners, which I'm sure that they are,
right?
Those partners are going to say, why am I going to build a game that runs like complete doo-doo on the Series S when now I won't be able to address that part of the market? Another thing that I will say is, this might be part of the strategy, but once you're in the market, right? So this is kind of a seeding strategy, right? You get people in with the Series S, right? People who have bought kind of used low-end luxury cars like a BMW to simply become a BMW owner, and then you trade up, right? People who are on the Series S who start to feel impinged are customers who are more likely to roll over and upgrade, right, to a Series X than they are, right, to come in cold when that $500 price point might be a point that's impinging. That's a much easier choice for them to make once they've already got one foot in the market.
I want to read these few super chats, and I want to give Crap a chance to speak on this real quick. Brap, I got Meat 1101. He says you can search VGChartz, you can search NPD, and CA. So shout out to 1101. Meet 1101. He comes back. He says, "We get it, Logic. You're happy. Xbox is slightly winning." So apparently, Meet and you have a good rapport going on. And Javonovich, I always say it wrong, but Javango. Nonetheless, I want to say thanks for the super chat. I can't say it. He says, every time people predict PlayStation's future, they fail. So, well, I mean, I'm not sure if we're really saying predictions here. I'm not going to call who's going to win.
Predict like on the entire scope. So you can't say everybody who predicts they fail, because there are people that are predicting like it's going to go off and shoot to the moon. And there's people that are like, yeah, no, it's going to do really good. And there's people that are saying, oh, look, this is the downturn right here. Like, there's a wide range of predictions.
But it's very, and listen, this, even though we're going on 2 years, it still is extremely early because, like Capone said in the chat a moment ago, none of these are just always just sitting there on store shelves. When we get to that point, that's when we can really, really say something. Go ahead, Crap. I wanted to hear, Crap, your take, and then I want to kind of switch subjects real quick. What's your take on the whole VGChartz and maybe all the things that you've heard conspire over the past few conversations?
Well, VGChartz, they update legacy consoles with actual numbers. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. So I didn't look at what Greenberg tweeted out as to be a big deal because it was already stuff we knew about in January. We had already known when they said that Xbox Series X and S was the best selling console after year one than any other Xbox. And it had come out thanks to like Z-Huge and other parties that they had done over 12 million in the first year alone. So really, that's all I mean, to me, a lot of people look at Xbox 360 as the quote unquote golden age of Xbox. And I always have to remind people, this is the golden, it's more popular and selling better than any other Xbox in the history right now. Right now is the golden age of Xbox. Like, people don't realize it has nothing to do with Sony. It's not a knock on PlayStation 5. Honestly, if you're pressed about it, I think
people say the golden age of 360. They're talking about like the software. The games
I get that, but I mean, a lot of people use that.
Still.
A lot of people use that as saying, you know, the most popular when it was doing sales and things like that. But right now, I feel like they're set up much better than at any point as well, and also selling better than they ever have before. So that to me was the most important thing. Like, I didn't look at him retweeting or tweeting that. He was saying thank you to the fans for supporting us. We're going to continue to do better for you. And hopefully get supply out worldwide to meet the demand.
Why didn't he think? Why didn't he think the fans last generation?
He actually acknowledged.
But why didn't he thank the fans last generation?
VGChartz, by the way.
But why didn't we? Yeah, he did. But my point is, why didn't he thank us for waiting off last generation for nothing to come at the end of it? You know, I mean, I'm just trying to say, like, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, Crap. I agree with you.
Like, I don't understand why people were so pressed with it either way. If you're a PlayStation fan, you shouldn't feel any way about this, to be honest with you. And if you're an Xbox fan, it's just something you already knew. If you watch these podcasts, you should have already known it. So I saw people being really ridiculous. It was silly. They were like, Greenberg shouldn't even have a job. Get the fuck out of here. The guy works for Microsoft. Get over it. I would love for him to go out there, and this was not even a shot at Sony or anything. This is tape. If you want to see a shot at Sony, he's the guy that said Halo 3 outsold every PlayStation 3 exclusive that year, including God of War 3, Uncharted 2. That's a shot. This was not even close to a shot. People are up in their feelings over the most ridiculous, silly things. Listen, Xbox is doing better than it was previously. Xbox is doing better than it has previously. That's a good thing. Competition is a phenomenal thing. It's really a good thing. PlayStation 5 is doing fine. Like, I didn't look at this and go, oh my God, it's really devastating. I mean, even if the number was true, which he doesn't confirm or anything, even if it was true, it would still be behind PlayStation 5. So who cares?
That's where the interesting thing comes
just by retweeting it.
Yeah, that's true.
Cares?
He does kind of, but Crap, that's one thing. And don't get me wrong, I get your point. Competition is phenomenal, by the way. It is great to have everybody back in full motion. But like Jay said, and BRAP saying too, when he does retweet it, you don't retweet something at that level. I mean, he is an executive still at that point.
Let's fire the man.
No, I would no one. I don't think anybody on here saying that.
Come on.
But he does like to instigate.
This isn't a console where I didn't care that he did it. I didn't. He like Jamie said.
It's so silly.
But Crap, he's supposed to do that. He's the marketing dude. But it is very interesting that you know the numbers, dude. So it's like, what are you retweeting VGChartz for? So yeah, people can pull that receipt from whatever. People can change their minds or whatever.
When it comes down to it,
wait. But that is the weird thing. It's sort of like you do know those numbers. So
The irony
when
of it,
tweeting, yeah, see, just the irony of it. It's just
I
like
can give
okay,
you that answer.
but like Mooch said too, it's sort of like you weren't doing that when it was sort of like a little seen as more even, a little more this and that. So yeah, you're gonna do it now because things look better. But you're doing it with VGChartz. You don't have to do it with VGChartz. You could step out and say this, and this.
Right. So what Eric's basically saying is he's got the numbers. He doesn't need VGChartz. He's got the numbers in his hand.
I got you. But
and the irony of it is that he said it's not, oh my goodness, it's that he said VGChartz was unreliable.
Well, he did. Yeah, he did say that.
He said, like Xbot. He said that it's unreliable, and nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
But that's the so wait. Hold on.
So what's different? It doesn't matter if it's been 10 years. One point it didn't matter. Now it matters.
That's the point, and I gotta give credit. Jay Main said it. That was what I was alluding to in the beginning, but Jay said it best right there. If we're gonna say VGChartz is okay now, and he's gonna retweet it out. What Jay said is true. And listen, we've even seen some of the journalists going back and forth today. What's changed with VGChartz that makes them credible? That's why I'm asking that. It seemed to be a non-credible source up until 24 hours ago. And now everyone's like, well, they're getting better and they got a new guy. And, Jimmy brings pizza on Fridays.
And you're talking about responses from extremists. Now,
that's not extremist.
No,
it's not.
Check this out.
All right, let Xbot finish his point. Go ahead, Xbot.
See, now, when people are like, well, Aaron has the numbers and he can just tweet it out. Well, guess what? He has bosses as well when it comes down to it. Like, that could be an absolute no-no.
No, but that's just it, Xbot. He has bosses. You have the numbers. He has bosses. You guys keep these things very close to the vest. Why are you retweeting numbers on this side?
That's a good point.
He's got a little fire in his belly.
From what I'm saying,
Greeny's like one tweet away from fanboy, and we know he does that.
Anytime you work for someplace at 20 plus years, I would too.
He's a paid fanboy. He's doing it the right way.
Yeah, he is, Jay. That's true.
I mean, listen, the people that are upset about that or whatever had nothing to say but positive stuff when Sony's like, this is how you share a game, or when they're retweeting.
No, that's not the same thing. Crap. That's not the same thing. That's not the crap. That's not crap. That's not what we're talking about here.
BRAP. No, if you want to suck Sony's cock, then suck their cock. I don't particularly care, but all I'm saying right now is that this guy right now.
Now you just
this guy right now.
No. Now you no. It's not about. First of all, it's disingenuous to say. No, first of all,
this is such a fucking Sony shit show. It's annoying as
crap.
No, crap. We had the same conversation last gen with Xbox.
Whoa, crap. First of all, this is not about sucking cock or anything.
It is. Everything is whataboutism. What about this?
Wait a
minute, though.
Crap. First of all, crap. You can't go back. They don't want you anymore. Can't go back to the community.
I don't care about fucking going one way or the other.
No, it doesn't matter. Listen,
I would rather be honest about my opinions on all of it.
You're not being honest. You're not being.
Oh, I'm PC this week. No, I'm Xbox this week.
You're not being Sony this week. But PC for life. You're not being honest when you're trying to sensationalize things. That's not being honest.
I'm not sensationalizing anything. I thought this is the most ridiculous thing and silliest thing to talk about.
You're missing the point.
This is the silliest thing to talk about.
Well, wait a minute. I think it's
you're missing the point.
If we change 45 minutes, 45 minutes.
We're having a talk show.
You're missing the point.
Talking about.
Crap, we're having a conversation, which apparently you can't have because you're not intelligent enough to have a conversation.
Hold on.
Guys.
45 minutes.
Crap.
45 minutes of talking about Aaron Reber.
I know. I'm trying. I don't want to listen. I was told when I first started podcasting, it is extremely rude. Guys, listen to me for a minute. Guys, hear me out. It is extremely rude to mute people, so I don't do that on the show. But we can't just have everybody just going, "Hey, come on over here, come on." Guys, just hold on a second. I have no problem. I have no problem with you saying what you're saying.
You're being silly. You're the one telling people.
No, listen.
Crap. Come on.
Crap. On one topic.
Well, don't forget crap.
That was so silly to begin with.
I always do a
crap. You were the biggest
sensationalist. Hold on.
Who cares what he retweeted?
You're missing the point, crap. That's not crap.
Like it's
Oh
we
my-
know for a
Hold
fact
on.
that it's
You
so
are
better than the
sensationalizing,
Xbox
Crap.
360. We
All right,
know
Mr.
that it's
Brap.
so better, right?
You're
We
being a
knew in
sensationalist.
January it's so
You're
better.
Well, I
sensationalizing.
can't move on to
How's
another
that
subject. I
sensationalizing?
can't do anything
Crap,
unless
you're like, oh, you're sucking Sony cock. Really? Come on, dude. You're fucking adult,
week after
dude.
fucking
Well, you
week,
wouldn't let
you're
him
up here
talk at all.
discussing
Crap,
Sony
hold
like
on.
they've never done anything
Crap.
wrong.
Brap,
All
you
I
gotta
see,
hold on.
hold on.
Crap,
Let me finish here.
Crap,
This
you're
is
too dumb
let
to
me say
understand the
something. Let
topic,
me say
Crap.
something real quick.
No,
All right,
you're not
Let me say
saying
Hold
anything.
on,
You're
Brap,
just
Brap,
stupid.
let him
How am
finish
I not
speaking.
saying
Let him
anything?
finish
I'm
speaking,
gonna
and then you
finish
can
speaking.
speak.
First of all, this
Please.
is the shit that I see every single week. I see the
Crap,
PlayStation
you the
fans.
person who
I see
Brap,
the
let him
PlayStation.
fin- Brap, let him finish
I see the
talking.
PlayStation fans retweet out anything negative
my
about
God.
any subscription service, right? And
That's
then they
not
try
what
to
we're
and they
doing, Crap.
listen. Shut the fuck up. They
No,
they
you
retweet.
shut the fuck up.
No, you shut the fuck up. Listen,
you
they
shut the
retweet
fuck up.
anything that has to do with a failure.
shut the
Like,
fuck
hey,
up.
Netflix is failing. They lost
That's
subscribers.
not what we're
This has to-
talking about
this-
here,
No,
Crap.
listen. I
Stay on
understand. I'm
subject.
trying
Hold
to
on,
explain
Brap, let
what
him
I have
finish.
to
fucking
deal
stupid
with.
to stay on subject?
Let
Week
him
in, week
finish.
out.
Let him finish his comment, and you
Listen
can
to
speak.
what I'm saying. This is the shit that you got to put up with week in, week out, and even on this podcast. Oh, Netflix lost 2 million subscribers. This is what's going to happen to X.
That's not what we're talking
Game
about
Pass.
here.
I understand that. Do you understand what
No,
a
you
comparison
don't, you dumb
is?
fuck. You don't
Stop,
understand it.
understand what a
guys, we gotta stop.
comparison is.
Listen, first of all, let's stop
Right?
with the name calling. There's
Second
really no
of all-
reason for it.
Fuck
Let's
him.
both
Second of
guys.
all-
Both guys need
second
to
of
stop,
all-
guys.
Fuck.
Come on, guys.
Second of
Stop.
all, it's not even just that aspect of it. You also have to deal with the other aspects where everybody's like,
Hold on.
"Look at this Activision deal. I hope this doesn't go through." Every fucking bad, every perceived negative thing deal
Yeah.
with this Activision thing.
That's not
gets
what we're talking
retweeted,
about.
gets shoved
Oh my
down your
God.
throat. It does. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Crap,
Crap, here's
this
the
is
thing.
not what we're talking
Aaron
about, though.
Greenberg?
You're
How is Aaron
conflating
Greenberg
stuff.
retweeting?
Oh
How is
my
Aaron
God.
Greenberg
You sound like a fucking
retweeting that
Trump
and
fan
saying
here.
thank you? And saying thank you to the fans. How is that worthy of 45 minutes of discussion,
Well, hold
or
on.
even anything
So-
to do with PlayStation?
That's not what
No,
we're
my-
talking about.
I was
or
actually-
even have anything to
fucking
do with
moron.
Hold
PlayStation.
on, Brap.
Or
Everybody
even
calm
anything
down.
to do with PlayStation.
Stop with
it
the
has
insults, guys.
nothing
Listen,
to
hear me out.
do with
Crap.
PlayStation.
Let me rephrase.
Zero to do
Let
with
me
it.
rephrase for a second here, real quick. This has nothing. This really has nothing to do with Aaron Greenberg. It was what you. If you heard what I was saying, Jay, when we started, Crap. My question was more of the validity, or right, whether that's credible. How credible VGChartz is. That's really what we're kind of getting into.
That's my
VGChartz, they
point.
update their
No,
legacy
Crap,
numbers.
Hold on,
shut
Brap,
up.
hold on,
Seriously.
Brap,
No,
hold on,
wait,
They
hold on.
update legacy numbers.
No,
and
why
then
does
they-
he get to talk? I don't get to
let him
fucking talk.
fin- No, let him finish. Then you can have the
You
mic.
had 20 minutes.
He's not
of
making any
talking.
fucking. He's not making any fucking points. He's making fucking dumb points.
Well,
That's
How
not
is
up
that
to
dumb
you to
points?
decide, bro.
They update
Crap,
the
because you were
legacy numbers.
sensationalizing.
All right,
This
so
is
wait,
what you
all right,
do.
Brap,
sensational
Brap.
about
You
All right, hold on a
absolutely
second.
are. We're
All
not even down.
There's
We're not.
nothing
Crap,
sensationalized
you were
about that
conflating-
whatsoever.
Okay, I'll
You
go
were
in reverse
conflating
then.
what people say on Twitter versus this conversation, and that's not an apples to
It's
apple.
not sensationalism. It's because what I
No,
exactly
you were
said was the
sensationalizing.
past numbers, the
And then-
previous
and then you-
numbers
and then-
on the
Oh
legacy
my God.
consoles.
Okay.
They update those.
Crap. You're
They
all over the
upload
place. man.
those.
Crap. You okay?
All right, so Brap, finish what you're saying, and then I'll go back to Crap. Then go ahead, finish what you were going to say about it. Then.
No. First of all, it's not about sucking Sony's cock. What we're saying is that it's the irony of the tweet, right? For him to quote, VGChartz when he downplayed VGChartz is interesting. That's it. It's not a slight of Xbox, but God forbid if you bring that up.
12 years ago.
Now you're so
Jesus Christ.
It doesn't matter.
Well, this is what
The
it comes.
fact that-
That's
the fact-
does
wait,
matter.
well, wait a
Is
minute. That was
everybody
hold
doing
on.
the same
Brap,
thing?
No,
let me get some other
doesn't
guys in
matter.
here.
It's
Hold on,
not.
guys.
It's not about keeping the same
Come on.
energy. It's the fact of the matter
Outta
is
here.
that no, it's not get out of here. It's the fact of the matter is that
it's a
it's
ridiculous
not.
topic.
Can you
Well,
shut
wait a
the
minute,
fuck
wait a minute,
up?
wait a minute, wait a
Seriously.
minute.
It's an
You're being-
absolutely
Oh my
ridiculous
God.
Brap, let
topic.
me help you out here. 'Cause the one thing
Absolutely.
I do think we're having a bit of a disconnect here, guys. Real quick, is that I do agree with a lot of
That's a
what Crap's
fucking
saying
joke,
as far as that,
man.
but
I'm
I don't
sorry.
agree.
This
I
guy's a
don't agree
fucking
with.
joke.
I don't agree with the fact that we shouldn't have it as a topic. I do, because here's the thing, Crap. When it comes down to it, real quick, just top level, is if Greeny went and tweeted this out 10, 12 years ago, okay? So he tweets it out 12 years ago. Like you say, a lot of times changed in between. A lot of things can happen in between. That's fine. But at the end of the day, what has happened in those 12 years to constitute the validity of a VGChartz? Are they
Is he
valid?
saying that these are accurate? Is he saying this is true?
Right.
Hey, you know, you can't explain this to Crap. He's stupid. Crap's stupid. Understand
hold on.
this.
He's not saying anything.
He's retweeting
like
them,
that.
so that is saying that they're accurate. Why would he retweet them?
He's not saying, hey, this is 100% true or this is the accurate number. He's
so
like,
well,
this is cool. I mean, he might not even have the 100% of the numbers.
So you go from
how do we know?
lying to using them as a
Why
retweet.
does it even matter if he's just saying thank you?
Crap's just full of shit. Crap just wants to be. Crap just wants his YouTube channel to be on the up and up again. He's full of shit.
I don't care about that shit, dude. If
yes,
I
you do. Crap, just the fuck up, Crap. Come on, Crap. You are fucking bipolar or something, dude. When it comes to fucking consoles,
dude. I
yes,
don't
you
care.
are.
I play.
Crap,
I'm not putting anything down.
You are shit, Crap.
All right, fellas. Listen, I'm
gonna put down about PlayStation. What am I putting down about PlayStation?
Well, let me go.
I'm saying exactly that.
You are full of shit,
guys.
Look who's talking. Your PC this week, Xbox 1 week. Then PlayStation 1 week, and then
you're full of shit. They don't want you back.
All right, listen. I'm moving on to another topic.
You're full of shit,
guys. I really don't want to. Don't want to hit the mute button. Relax. Come on. Stop. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over. Xbot. I'm gonna let you take the realm here.
You fat fuck.
Stop.
You're the one that fucking doesn't know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, right.
You fucking
Eric, I might need the voice of reason here, Eric.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, you're the one that knows all about the Activision deal, right? And you know all about that.
I know more than you dumb fuck.
Yeah, so go ahead and tell us about how how a corporation who's in the top of a corporation for female employees and for diversity, how that's all bullshit. Tell us how that's all bullshit.
Really, Crap? Do you know that Activision was best place to work by the Human Rights Foundation? Do you know that?
Tell us how it's bullshit. I'm waiting.
The irony of that, you fucking idiot.
It's not going to pass through, is it?
You're a fucking idiot. You're an idiot. You're complaining
stuff. About the Activision deal. Hey, I didn't see you retweet.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, I did not see you
fucking idiot, dude.
I didn't see you retweet the story that they threw out the lawsuit for harassment. Did you?
You're still Crap. You're an idiot.
Did you?
Guys, I don't. All right, fellas, you both made your point. Let's move on to something else because there's no sense in hitting the mute button. That's it's just a rude thing to do. So let's not do that. What I'm trying to say to you guys real quick is I want to go to Xbot 448 here for a quick second. Let you guys have a glass of water, relax for a second. Xbot, do me a favor, will you? Can you save me and save the show here? Halo Infinite Season 2 is coming out, okay? There's game fixes, there's new modes, there's new maps. Is the update enough to hold people over? I just saw another tweet coming out that it looks like the co-op's not coming out till August. Where are people on Halo?
Well, first off, the update that we're getting, that you're seeing right now, as you can tell, it's all multiplayer. All right, so you're getting like 6 game modes. There's like 4 game modes that are rotating in on a weekly basis. They're probably the rotating game modes are probably tied to different events that have different gear, stuff like that. Mooch, I've gone on record. I've said it in the DMs and stuff like that. Like when they first started talking about this, I was like, dude, 2 maps, 3 game modes, like that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. But now we're seeing 6 game modes that are going to be put into the menu as permanent game modes. We're seeing 3 or 4 that are going to be rotated in. Of course, yes, there's 2 maps. You look at Last Spartan Standing. I think that's a really interesting mode because if they tie cosmetics and stuff like that to progressing in that game mode specifically, because that's that battle royale-esque type situation. You roll all that together, and then you put in the fact that season 2 is not going to be as long as season 1. I am actually a lot more optimistic about the multiplayer now when it comes to the co-op. For the people that are out there, waiting for the co-op for the campaign, I feel bad for you guys. I don't know why. Well,
they're saying August now.
Yeah, it was a new tweet today, late August.
That's right.
I can see the issues that they're having with it being that the open world aspect of it, and what that would do is if you're in their co-op and you have your friend going off and doing one part of the mission over there, and you're doing this mission over here, like you're making the game so incredibly short. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out the right way to kind of tether people together and to keep the distance and how they're going to go about that, but still make it to where it's enjoyable for the people who are playing co-op. So like, I feel bad for the people who are waiting for that co-op experience. When it comes down to it, it's a huge misstep on 343 in terms of doing co-op in the campaign.
Well, let's what about the breakdown? What you said though, Xbot? You said there's going to be. I thought there was 2 maps. I was aware of 4 different modes. There's 6. You're saying coming in season 2.
There's 6 different modes with 4 modes that as well that are going to be rotated in on a week by week basis. So when you're looking at it now, the 4 modes that are being rotated in are like Team Sniper, Team Skirmish, stuff like that. So it's not like those are brand new modes. All right. Even the 6 that are being put in there, there's a couple new ones like Vampire Ball, which I think is an oddball, but maybe I don't know the details of it, but maybe like the longer you hold on to the ball, you start getting hurt, which means that you have to work with your team and pass the ball at certain points in time to make sure that you can keep it and not just have one person sitting in the corner with the ball and everybody defended it, but you got to like rotate it. And you got to
let me ask. So, Xbot, I got to be honest with you. Xbot, in Xbot, you've been saying this on this show for about the better part of 6-7 years now. You've been saying, I really wish that 343 or Xbox would hire me. Someone maybe should hire Xbot 448 because Xbot just made a better case than I think 343's made online the entire existence of it. So, no, but let me ask you.
One of the big things I said about 343, and I put this out there, and I said they can really learn from Bungie and Destiny because Destiny does the games as a service with the multiplayer, continuing story. They do it absolutely perfectly. And one of the things is, whether you like what they say or you hate what they say, they are out there with the community. Every week they come out with a TWAB. This week at Bungie. Whether you like the news or you hate the news, it's there. Whether you can always talk to them about what's going on within the game. They are active on social media, and I think that's something that if 343 and Xbox they're moving forward with a game as a service with a franchise as big as what Halo is. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta be accessible when it comes to the community, and the community has to feel like they can go to social media and they can talk to you guys and get answers. And I don't think 343 has done that to a really good extent yet, and they need to learn how to do that because I feel like that with what they're doing with the multiplayer, it will definitely keep people through this season, and then you're looking into next season, which won't be as long of a wait that season 1 was.
Right.
So I think they are on the right path. I wish there were more maps though. 2 maps, I'm like, that doesn't really cut it. But when you look at all the content as a whole, the new cosmetics, we're gonna have new events, all the new game modes for multiplayer. It's looking good, bro. It's looking good. And Mooch, I have not said that about season 2 yet.
No, you have not. Now, let me Xbot. Let me say, I got to be honest with you. You just did a really good job of selling it, Jay. Main, let me ask you a question, Jay. Will you hear what Xbot's saying? Where are you? Because I didn't get a chance to ask you this question. You and Gamer Logic, I haven't spoke to. I've spoke to a lot of people on the panel about their opinions on Halo since we've gotten to play it since November. But Jay, where were you when it came out? Is this something that you were excited for when it first came out? And now, here we are. We waited a long time till we get to now. You just heard Xbot. There's definitely stuff coming along. We would like to have a more monthly update feed, something a lot like Bungie does with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then, is the fact of no co-op and no Forge, is that really handcuffing you as a gamer and saying, I'm just not feeling this right now because I can't play with my friends. I can't create like I'm used to?
Not those modes specifically. Not for me. I know a lot of like diehard Halo fans like want those modes, and I feel personally that they should be there just because they were staples in the franchise. But I'm definitely coming back for Halo Season 2 because I spent a lot of my time on Battlefield 2042 around the time that Halo came out.
Oh no!
And yeah, because like I'm a big Battlefield fan, and I loved Halo. Like I was in the beta and stuff like that. I thought the gameplay was excellent as far as the multiplayer goes, so I was really excited. But I wanted to see what Battlefield was hitting for, and I gave Battlefield too much time because I should have been on Halo. So it's still kind of fresh to me. Like I didn't complete the season. See whatever it is called, the what is it called when you go through the battle pass? I think I don't know if they call it the actual battle pass, but I didn't complete
that's
that.
Inherently what it is, man. So
season
pass, battle pass, like
right. I didn't complete that, so I didn't get the full effect of season 1. But they're adding all this stuff plus the stuff that it's already there. Sounds good to me, and I'll definitely be playing it.
Yeah,
Coach, you got a super chat there that, if you don't mind, I would like to say real quick because it's a mistake on my part.
Okay.
But Couch Gaming, hitting up that super chat. Thank you so much for the support, brother. For Mooch and the panel. But he said season 2 is 6 months. Season 3 will start November 8th. Now, if that's true, all right, that's a little bit more of a downside. But I can't ignore the fact that it's not what they said at first with like the 3 modes, and it's going to depend on a lot of it's going to depend on that new mode. To be really honest with you, if they go all in on that, and like I said, there are cosmetics linked to progressing through that mode. With that battle royale-esque style, that mode is, I'm definitely interested in it, and I think that will capture the imagination, and it'll have like a lot of gamers there for a long time.
Yeah, I think they're teasing that big battle royale reveal with that mode. Last Spartan standing. That's like
that's what I'm wondering.
That's testing the waters.
Brad Sam said that, and this is Brad Sam's words. I don't want anyone to think it's me hating. He called it a baby battle royale, meaning it's probably going to be a smaller map. Not as many people, probably maybe 25, 30 people. I don't know the specifics, but that was Brad Sams who had said that. Shout out to a couple people in the super chat real quick here. So shout out to Easy Shock for subscribing. I appreciate that. Rude Days 93 says, I like this podcast. Well, welcome to Crossfire, Rude Days. I appreciate you being here. I'm just trying to look at some of these. Bare Knuckles, I believe 39. He says, I understand why people used to crap on his channel. Point here is he's repping Sony like 2 months ago. But here's the thing. I got to be honest with you guys. You guys got to understand something. I hear people say that about, and it's not just crap. It's about anybody in the community. People are, they have the right to change their minds.
The thing is, though, even though with that Mooch, I never said anything bad. Like this whole conversation, I didn't say anything bad about Sony. I didn't say shit about Sony. I said nothing bad about them. All I said was it was a silly thing to talk about for 45 minutes. Look who's talking.
Well, guys, let's the
thing about Crab, you're the same honestly, guy that insulted.
Like, listen,
you're the same guy that insulted an Army veteran for supporting PlayStation. Shut the fuck up.
Who did I insult?
Really, John? You remember that?
Let's go. Guys, I'm not here for that show right now. That's not what we're doing here.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Let's stay on subject.
No,
here.
Actually, I do.
Well, let's talk about it off air. We don't need to talk about it on air. Let's go on to another. I got a couple. Carlos Crespin, who's a fantastic. He goes, "Does pineapples belong on pizza?" I can't stand fruit on pizza, but after tonight's show, I might smother my pie with strawberries and all kinds of ridiculousness.
Put that pineapple on that pizza.
Get that pineapple all over the place.
On that pizza.
Jay, don't start with me. I can't take it right now. Shout out to the hashtag, my hashtag My New York, the wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Ashton Luca is here. Luca, so great to have you here. Of course, she gives the eyes. She gives the eyes and lips, which means she's staring at us. She's like, that's like mom being like, what are you guys doing on the show? Shout out to Ashton Lucas. She says, games should have been delayed to November 2022. They have too many examples of successful games as a service titles to be making these mistakes 6 months again. Okay. So, you know what? I got to say something, guys. Let's just break down what Luca's saying for a second here, because that actually holds some water, right? I mean, it really does hold some water here. We know that they delayed it by a year. But, when it comes down to it, and I'll ask you, Logic, you could jump in here, Eric. I want to ask you guys a question. What do you think when you hear what Luca's saying? Because you hear a lot of people, maybe not in the Halo community, say something like that, right? Delay it. I don't think Microsoft could afford to delay it after the year, right, of not having that first-party game. They had to have that big boy out there. You even heard Joe Staten say it when he said, we're just going to put it out there, and we'll work on it as we go. It's a 10-year plan anyways, so what's the difference if we piecemeal it? I understand. Go ahead, Logic.
I think something. Try and say this not too triggering. So I think something people should realize is the industry of software engineering and software development, right, in our current day and age, is all about incremental releases. A lot of people talk about the way that the game industry is doing things, and they act as if it is new or out of nowhere, and it's not. Right? Things shifted in that direction in the enterprise 10 years before the gaming industry started doing what it was doing. And they're adopting a lot of the practices that we utilize out in enterprise. And so if you look at Halo as a standard software release, when a team is sometimes having problems, that's kind of exactly what you do. You get the increment out and get it working and get it into users' hands, and then you iterate and add stuff on top of it. Now, you can have an argument about whether or not you feel it's a prudent approach for an entertainment property, but that's the approach that they took. Part of my question around this conversation is, what does it matter, and how and why does it matter to people? And what I mean by that is, there was all the buzz around, Halo the Master Chief Collection currently has more active users on Steam than Halo Infinite does. and if I looked at that, if I was at Microsoft corporate, I would go, so how is that not a success story? The team that took Halo the MCC and launched that in a bad state, but persevered and kept at it and turned it around and made it a success story.
Yeah.
People who are not playing Halo Infinite are going back to Halo the MCC.
Hold up, you saying that's a success story?
I'm saying that's better than me losing those customers in their entirety.
Oh, wait, what? But Halo Infinite is your new shiny toy.
No, don't ask me what. Explain why you find that so incredulous.
Because Halo Infinite is your new shiny toy that you're trying to sell to the people. If you're losing people and they're going to Master Chief Collection, that's a problem.
That's your opinion and your perspective. And
that is not my opinion.
No, what I'm saying is think about it from the corporate perspective, from a revenue perspective, from a P&L perspective. Do I care if I'm hemorrhaging customers back to one of my own properties?
Ooh. Yo,
yes.
I like this dude. I like this dude.
Well, you know what?
You asked me a question. Let me answer. Let me
finish fleshing out the question for you. Why is $1 spent on the MCC any different to me than $1 spent on Halo Infinite?
Because you literally spent all of this money to develop Halo Infinite. You need to get money back and get more people onto that game than to be playing your own. Like why would you even want people playing your old game when you have this new game out?
Because
they want people because they're updating the old game as well.
The development cost for Halo, the MCC, is already depreciated and off my books. That capital investment and expenditure is already off my books. Every bit of money earned on Halo, the MCC, is now upside.
Yeah, sure.
So again, I go back. Why is $1 spent over there different than $1 spent on Halo Infinite?
Because it's not like that. It's different, but to have a game release and
hold on,
people leave.
Jay, let me help you out, Jay. I'll really here's because I like where Jay Main's going. I'm actually on Jay's side with this because in logic, let me tell you why. $1 spent is $1 spent. Logic, I can't argue with that. But I'm talking about a return on my investment. That $1 I spend on something that's right now with games as a service is going to promote, bring in new people, younger gamers, and get more money, more revenue. So that $1 you spent on MCC may return $10 to you. I'm going to get $100 back. That's why you want to focus on new IP and creating new activities and new experiences for gamers. And that's the problem right now, is if you have a user base, whether it be the hardcore or new, going back to use the old and busted instead of the new hotness, that's a problem. It's not
definitely a problem.
Is that a problem if I maintain adhesiveness to those customers within my same ecosystem, and then once I?
But it's not everybody. Everybody hasn't gone back to Halo Master Chief Collection.
Let me finish answering the question. And then when those customers, right, when they see Halo Infinite is improved or better or attractive, if, as Xbox said earlier, if Season 2 is a thing, then where those customers return is Halo Infinite. It's a question.
Well, that's a hope and a prayer. Jay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, we saw that the Halo Master Chief Collection numbers went up higher than Halo Infinite. But Halo Infinite started out at 200,000 or 200,000 people concurrent on Steam. All those people pretty much left. A small percentage of them went to Master Chief Collection. What about the rest of those people that just are gone? You're not replacing the revenue from the little bit of people that went to Master Chief Collection with all of those hundreds of thousands of people that left Halo Infinite. That doesn't equate. Those two numbers don't equal each other.
You're talking like when the game first came out on a free-to-play game as well. So,
you're talking about the Steam numbers.
But look at hold on. We saw that. Hold on. We saw Halo Infinite dip on the Xbox charts as well. So let's not act like that didn't happen.
Yeah, it dipped, but it didn't disappear.
Listen, that's the thing, and that's one thing that me and Crap had a conversation about, and I don't see eye to eye with Crap on that one. We and Crap were going back and forth for quite some time, and he was saying, Mooch, you got to understand, it's top 3. Then we went by a few weeks and it was top 5. Then it was top 10. Then it was out of the top 10. It's still a drastic decline. So whether we're talking about Steam or we're talking about Xbox users, that's fine. I do want to give a shout out to Ash and Lucas. She goes, why do we care about $1 trillion companies' money? And I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly what she said. But the only thing I would say is that I don't care about the money, Luca. I agree with you. I don't think anybody in the panel is losing sleep over Microsoft's money. I think when it comes down to it, it is kind of a point of, I think that Logic made an outstanding point as $1 spent on either side is $1. But my point, I think Jay's, I don't want to speak for Jay, but what I was feeling from what his conversation was that return on investment on that $1, I think can go a lot further with with the Halo Infinite.
See, I like what Logic does here, because he's talking from a like that pure business perspective, and that is the best way to kind of understand the decisions that are being made, and like why aren't they freaking out here and why aren't they freaking out there. Now they knew what condition this game was when they released it, and they also know it's going to take time to the point where they get it to where a lot of people in the community are satisfied. I feel like this is definitely a move in the right direction. I feel that they should probably rethink the whole 6-month process in terms of the seasons when it comes down to it, because I feel like that's a little long in the tooth. And another thing we're not even talking about is the story element that they're also releasing with Season 2 that kind of rotates around your PvP Spartan as well. We don't really know anything about that. We don't know about its longevity or anything like that either. But when it comes down to it, I feel like Logic is absolutely right. While they're over here and they're working on Halo Infinite, MCC is off their book. So $1 made is $1 made, and it doesn't really matter if it is in Infinite because they are working on it. Gamers are going to go back to that, and you're going to see what Season 2 does when it comes to the audience. But until then, they're at least holding on to this number that migrated over to a property that they own, that they're not paying.
But what about the people that didn't go to Master Chief Collection? That's my point.
But how many people are that though?
That's a lot. It started at 270,000. What are you talking about?
But this is my question, and there was kind of a trap in the question and the way that I asked it. So first of all, I apologize for if it sounded like I was yelling or shouting at anybody. I was just kind of getting into the whole Crossfire mood.
Yeah. Welcome to Crossfire. Yeah.
It's that kind of energy, right?
You're at home now, man.
So I'll go back to what Ash and Luca was saying. So she's saying, why is everybody concerned about Microsoft's money? Okay, I agree. If you're not concerned about the money, why are you bothered? Why is any gamer bothered by how Halo Infinite is performing? Because my feeling from a gamer, and this is kind of the trap and the joke, right? And Mooch, you were asking earlier, how do I personally feel about Halo Infinite? I don't really care, right? If Halo Infinite is not firing on all cylinders and doesn't meet my needs as a online multiplayer PvP, right, shooter, I will go play something else, right? I'll go play Call of Duty. I'll go play Destiny 2. I'll play whatever. So my question is...
You wouldn't have a problem with that?
No. Hey,
why?
Logic, after you're done, I do want to... Because I kind of feel what Jay's feeling. Go ahead, though, Logic. Let me let you finish your thought.
No, I mean, but that's my... For anybody who feels injured or harmed by Halo Infinite not being on all cylinders. That's my question. My question is, why are you concerned if it's not about?
So let me
get a fan of a game though. You should want it to be firing on all the cylinders. So if it's not doing that, yes, you should feel some type of way. You should go at these companies or developers and say, what the fuck is going on? This was once one of my favorite franchises, and now you guys can't even release it properly with proper content. And now we have to wait months upon months upon months to get something that we probably had from the get-go in other games and other iterations.
The other thing I agree with Jay, though, and Logic, don't get me wrong, I really appreciate you putting the other side of the coin out there, but the reason I have a problem with that, and this is the generational thing that's been bugging me since this generation kicked off, is a lot of times whenever it's the Xbox game, it's like, well, if I don't like it, I'll just play something else, or it doesn't matter, or I'll go back to Halo Master Chief Collection, or hey, guess what? I'll just play Left 4 Dead 2 again. It's like, we can all do that at all times. But then you have like Horizon Forbidden West, or you have, which we'll get into in a second, God of War coming out, and someone's going to call it DLC. There's such criticism on the games that Sony puts out of their system. And then when Microsoft seemingly has an issue or there's a problem or you see that it's going to be staggered for a while before you actually get what you want, it doesn't matter. There's plenty to play. There's so much out there. I mean, there's we don't even... Go ahead, E. Go ahead, E. And the next part,
Can I tag on that? Because actually, I do have to actually go in a second. But yeah, I want to tag on that too, because I find that pretty hilarious a lot of the times. And Luca's got a point, like with why do people care about Microsoft money? People care about Microsoft money and want to throw around their juggernaut pockets when it comes to, they could buy Sony 15 times over. They could do this. They could do that. But for some reason, why do we get this thing where, oh, it's bullshit how Sony gets to get away with these marketing deals and do this and this and this, and then they push Microsoft around? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
How does the little guy that can be bought 15 times over get to push around the juggernaut?
Right.
Why does the juggernaut keep getting all these excuses when it comes to their games being, considered to be subpar?
Yeah. The
minute
minute there's a problem with anything at all that's Microsoft right now, that's been started since the end of 2019, early 2020, it's why do you care? Leave them alone. They're just doing what they like. But then Sony just literally does one thing that's just like the I don't know, whatever, something small in a game, and they're like, that kind of sucks. It's like, well, Sony's in trouble. Holy shit, the whole corporation's going down. You could see that the entire structure is crumbling. And it's like, what? Why is it when Microsoft?
You're talking about.
I didn't understand what you're saying about
do that on the Xbox side, and
hold on. I just want to pull this back to where I originated the question. I get what you guys are saying and what you guys are saying, but I hope I'm not being combative when I'm saying don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
No. Logic, not you personally. I'm saying this is a generality,
right? But right, if that's the energy that's coming from that direction, then it's kind of equivalent, right? If you're mounting up a response to that. So my only question is and it's not to say I'm not giving Xbox an excuse. What I'm saying is what I always get back to, right? Which I know, I get it. People hate it when I say it, but I have yet to be told that it's not true. I think people hate it because it is true. Is you make choices, right? And if Halo's not doing it for you, you go put your money and time, which is more valuable to me than money, somewhere else. And I'm not saying you go put that time on an old game. I'm saying there are lots of games as a service, multiplayer PvP games providing new content. The other thing, and really I'll even come back to the question that you started with, Mooch, which is when we talk about Halo Infinite Season 2, and we talk about whether or not it's enough content or not enough content, one of my big questions, right, when this thing always spools up is, what is the rubric, right? Does anybody have a quantification of how many maps, how many LTEs, how many LTMs, how many new skins constitutes enough?
Right.
Because if you don't, right, then what I will say is, because I won't say we often do this in the software engineering industry, but I'll say, right, part of the approaches in selling software products is when people argue about things that they don't understand, we simply find different ways to explain them. And so if you don't have a quantification that establishes what your minimum threshold is, then you're very likely to be bamboozled by the impression that there is enough, right? And then you won't know until it's too late.
Right. I got a couple of super chats here. The great Slow-Mo Backslap is reminding me. He's like, Mooch, can you please read the super chats? Getting to him right now, Slow-Mo. Shout out to the great Slow-Mo Backslap, by the way. So gaming, couch gaming, that was read already by the great Xbox 448. The Rogue Inquisitor, he says, what are your guys' take on the possibility of ads in gaming? Both Xbox and PlayStation are hinting at the idea ads popping up in games. And Rogue, by the way, we have that as a topic. We will get to it. The great Slow-Mo Backstop, he says, in 343's universe, seasons are 6 months instead of 3. 6 more months with just 2 more maps. 343 needs some milk. So shout out to Slow-Mo. And shout out to the Ash and Luca who's back. Ash and Luca, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, respectfully, I'm not one of those people complaining about the numbers on Steam, so the question is moot. She said, I'm concerned about a lack of content, and I definitely want to clap and say, this is a situation, and Luca, I hope I'm not reading it wrong. I feel the way you feel here. I don't agree necessarily with Joseph Staten's initial terms of, well, we're just going to put it out there and we'll add to it when we add to it. That's something that is sometimes it works, right? I guess you could say with Bungie and with Destiny, it worked even though it got a lot of backlash. But I don't know if Halo has the legs for that anymore. And you can see by the numbers that we just proved with the 250,000 and going from number 1 on Xbox to number 11 and 250,000 on Steam to under 5,000. You could see that Halo doesn't have those legs. So by piecemealing it in, are they not able to stretch that out? That's my big concern is what Luca's saying. This lack of content. Here we are. It's going to be November. And then by then we'll just be able to just start to get into co-op. These are things that are supposed to be there day one. You know, this is a huge company with an unbelievable budget. Yeah, I mean, I do want to, Crap, did you want anything on that? I wonder if you want to talk about anything Halo.
Yeah, well, I wanted to say, like, first of all, the content situation, 6 months is far too long for a season. Like, we thought that they would shorten those up because, like, you got somebody like Xbot who's going to finish up that entire thing in, like, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something, right?
He's not lying, man. He's not lying.
Exactly. Well, I know, because a lot of people left the game and said, hey, I'm not going to go back because I've already maxed out everything I could do. So they dropped the ball there. The content, 2 maps in the first year of a service game is pretty bad. And then, the big thing that I felt they could fix some of their problems, the Forge, is not going to be in beta till September, October?
I believe
like that.
Yeah.
I think that's
yes.
I think that's pretty piss poor. But the one positive thing that I would say for Halo is I wouldn't count Steam as a thing anyway. Halo's been known as a console franchise for 20 years. If we look back to, we can see, like, you might not be able to see everything in terms of what player counts are on Xbox Live, but we have seen that you can check the Destiny player counts, Destiny 2 player counts. So we know that in specific, at a particular time, a couple months ago, Destiny was at the number 10 spot at a particular time with almost 300,000 players on it, while Halo was at the number 5 spot, meaning that there had to be significantly more. Right now, as I look, Halo is in the number 15 spot, which, if number 10 is 300,000, so there's probably close to 200,000 or so probably people playing this just by using kind of some guesstimate work with math. Number 15, so it isn't maybe as dire as the Steam charts would suggest, because if you look at traditionally things that happen on Steam, their top charts are almost always the same. Something new can break in, but then a couple weeks later, it's back to the same kind of things. Like, I'm looking at it right now, their top played games is like Counter-Strike Global, Dota 2, Rust, PUBG, Team Fortress 2, Grand Theft Auto 5. Well, I guess that's popular across the board. Lost Ark. So they play stuff that's new, maybe for a little bit. I guess Lost Ark being the significant difference there. That seems to hold popularity, but that's the type of game that is too. And then they go back to their old faithfuls. Will people put up with a 6-month wait for new content? I think that's probably a tougher question.
So
that's my question. So are people not going back? That's my question.
Well, I think, I don't think they're going back on PC. I don't think no matter what content they bring on PC, I don't think they'll bring back,
regardless of where they go back. So this is a question.
I think people will go back on console, but I don't think they'll stay if they got to wait 6 months for more 2 maps in a year in a live service game. That's pretty bad.
So we're saying that if 343, I won't necessarily say corrects this, but if or whenever 343 delivers more content, and I'm asking everybody who, again, no offense, everybody who's apparently very passionate about Halo Infinite, right, as well as Ash and Luca, if and when 343 delivers new content, are you guys not going back?
Oh, I'm going back.
I want to play the new mode. I want to play Last Spartan Standing.
I will definitely try the last. Let me answer the question the way you posed it. With the Last Spartan Standing being there, logic, I'm going to definitely go back. But if that wasn't there, probably not, because I'm a battle royale freak. I'm literally, and I said this last week, I'm even contemplating going back to Fortnite because they got rid of the build mode. That's how much I like.
Oh yeah,
right.
I definitely re-downloaded that.
You know what I mean?
Definitely re-downloaded that.
Hey, so BRAP, let me ask BRAP a question here, because BRAP, this is interesting. I was playing Halo.
Let me jump in. I got to take off.
Oh, you got to bounce. All right, go ahead. I want to get BRAP. Go ahead, E.
Yo, good talking to you guys.
E, you got to bounce right now?
Yeah, I got to bounce.
All right, well, E, great to have you, buddy. I know you said 8 o'clock, so 8:30. I'll definitely plug you at the end, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it.
Thanks,
have a good night, everybody.
Yo, Mooch, real quick, I just want to give you props real quick, because the gameplay that you have going on right now.
Yes.
This is an absolutely beautiful game. Absolutely love God of War.
It is a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for putting this on here.
Thank you, Xbot, for that compliment. I got to be honest with you. I've been going back, and credit to you and Crap, who've been telling me about, maybe you got to go back and play some old games. And since the whole controversy came up, which will be our next subject, about the whole God of War thing, I said, you know what? Not fair for me. I definitely beat the 2018 game and then went back and I tried to platinum it. Shame on me, guys. You guys know I like to finish it complete. I just didn't get to completing the 2018 as far as platinuming it. I beat the game, but I never beat,
I gotta go back for the platinum.
Jay, I'm gonna try again before it comes out in the fall. But here's my thing. I said, let me go back. I never even finished God of War 3. So let me go back and play
What?
this. Yeah, I know, dude.
What?
I know. No, listen, shame on me.
That is blasphemous.
It
That's
is.
the best one.
I know. That's why. Listen, if you guys follow me on PlayStation, you'll see. I'm gonna beat this game, and I'll be tweeting out. I'm going for the plat. But anyway,
dude, that was my favorite game on PS4.
Dude, this is, and shout out to Next Gen too. This was his favorite game as well.
Those boss fights, man. Oh.
No, they're epic. They are epic. But I want to get to God of War, but I do want to ask BRAP. BRAP, when I was playing Halo Infinite, I remember you pinged me a couple of times on Xbox Live, and you said, "Dude, what do you think? Dude, what do you think?" And I said to you, I had two different answers. The very first maybe quarter of the game, I go, I'm actually enjoying this. I hadn't hit the repetitious stages yet. I thought it was a lot of fun. And you said, you same thing you just said there. You're like, You're like, maybe I should ask you when you play a little bit more because you were further than I was.
Yeah, I was further, yeah.
And then after I played a bit, I said, okay, now I'm ready to talk to you about it, BRAP. And then we kind of divulged into it. When you see what's coming on with Season 2, since you were a big fan of the multiplayer, not so much the single player, are you coming back for Season 2?
I mean, it depends. It depends what else is out there. Like for me, it's this. I will probably go back. I mean, so long as there isn't another game that's, that has my attention, and Game Logic and I were talking about my backlog earlier, and he was kind of ribbing me a little bit about not playing as much on PC lately. I will probably go back. I mean, like I think Halo Infinite, at least the multiplayer, is really where that game shines. Like the gunplay, the level design in multiplayer is really probably the best since Halo 2, in my opinion. And yeah, I will probably be back. I think I'm probably going to play it on my PC because that's the best place to play video games. I'm going to play it at ultra settings at 90 FPS, while the rest of the peasants play it on maybe 60 FPS at medium settings. So that's where I'll play it. I'll probably go back to it. But again, I think it's going to go back to how much time do I invest in it. That's going to depend on the rest of my backlog per se.
Okay, isn't that the cyclical problem? Like, I'm trying to pull this apart and try and understand it. And I get it. People are angry because it's taking so long to deliver. But we're saying that given how much longer it's taken to deliver, we're not doing a scorched earth policy. We're going back when they do deliver. Doesn't that just incentivize them to feel like that delivery time is okay? Doesn't that prove my whole thing that I mentioned about iterative feature releases coming and content releases?
Game Logic, I think it does for some people, like me, who's got a backlog. Who, if I don't, if I'm not totally, focused on Halo, I'm okay with it. I have talked to some Halo fans that are really dedicated to Halo that are like, yeah, this sucks, right? I think it varies depending on the gamer. Maybe most of us, or maybe the majority of the people that were on Halo who left went to go play other things. They may come back. I mean, we see it with Destiny, right?
Right.
I mean, I think Xbot could probably speak to that. Destiny player count falls off, new content comes out. What happens?
It's mountains and valleys when it comes to services like
peaks
this.
And valleys.
When it comes down to it, when they got new content that's coming out, all of a sudden you see the player base rise incredibly. We saw with Witch Queen. Basically, it was the most played expansion in Destiny's history when it came down, and it's really good. But now, if you look at it,
is it the most played out of all the?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
It went crazy, man, and rightfully so. But there are things within the expansion that sounded good when Bungie was talking about it. But it wasn't implemented the way that they thought when it comes to crafting weapons and such. So, so much time has been spent that now if you look at the numbers are falling down. Now, but the thing is, Bungie does realize this, and I feel like when it comes to their seasons, they have spaced them out perfectly. And, when it gets to a certain point, all of a sudden you look around the corner and they're talking about the next season, and they already started that. Bungie's like, this next season, greatest season we've ever made.
And you see,
I do think real quick. I do think if I saw Luke in the live chat says he doesn't think people are going to come back. I do think if they don't come back in console, I'm willing to bet, and Game Logic, I don't know if you agree with me, I'm willing to bet you'll see more people come back to it on PC.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm not, as again, I'll go back. I'm not nearly anywhere near as emotional as I may have appeared, right? But my whole point is, so what I believe.
Well, I can tell you're not emotional, man. You're straight numbers, bro. That's what it is.
Yeah, you made a new friend here, by the way, with Xbot.
my feeling and kind of, if I have a dream, one of my dreams about the gaming community is that they vote with their wallets and that they actually participate in the market in the same way that they verbalize, right? And one of my problems is that we seem to often verbalize, shout to the heavens about things, and then we react and respond differently from a market perspective. And so my thing is, if people are really cranky that 343 has taken a long time to deliver content, people shouldn't go back. Because when you do, you're going to incentivize them that they can continue doing what they're doing. Maybe get a little better, but that it's acceptable. Bungie's model, and again, this is where I go, when somebody's doing that, but they acknowledge it and they say that it's okay, then it's fine. Bungie's model has said they are fine if people dip in and dip out. If you come back, play the expansion pack content, then roll out, then come back when there's something new. And then they provide content that is at a lesser level, right, than those big expansion pack drum beats for the people, the diehards who are going to try and stay invested and do all the quests and get all the exotics. So,
Bungie charges for their expansions, though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So.
Yep.
Well, let's do this.
They actually charge for everything. Seasons.
I mean, I do understand the concern of because like for me, you also because I love the Halo multiplayer. Like I thought having a quality arena-based shooter was a nice change of pace from playing, those Twitch-based shooters or the battle royale type games, right? And I can understand the concern of, well, if 90% or 95% of your player base falls off, are they going to come back? Because that could dictate whether or not you find enough people to play with potentially, right? So I get that concern too.
Yeah, and I want to add, I know Mooch, you want to move on, but I'll also add, it's a question maybe people should ask themselves when looking at the industry. There's a strong theme, and it's a theme I actually like. I'm not going to throw Halo Infinite in that bucket yet, but I like the stories in the industry of development teams that persevere through adversity and turn things around. I think Halo, the MCC, is a good news story from a software development case study perspective. I think the way Ubisoft kept at Rainbow Six Siege and turned it around is a good news story. I think the way that Hello Games kept at No Man's Sky and turned it around is a good news story. And those are possible things, right, that can happen in the industry.
Logic, those are good points, but shout out to the great slow-mo backslap again. He says if players don't, he makes a great point here. He says if players don't come back, if they actually wanted to, what happens is the publisher simply abandons the game. They don't, in quotes, learn a lesson, end quote. Take it from a Division player. We tried that. He's kind of right. Now, don't get me wrong. Logic, you did mention a good example with No Man's Sky. However, at the same time, there's another good example with the Division where when people don't come back, they just don't put the time and money back into it. And that's a problem.
Yeah, well, but the thing about this is I don't expect Xbox to give up on Halo and Halo Infinite and the game.
No. Yeah,
service. You see what I'm saying?
Understood. Yeah, Xbox. No, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's not happening. There's a reason why, they hang a lot on this, especially as it being that game as a service. The one thing that I scratched my head on when it came to Halo Infinite, I just couldn't understand this, is when Halo 5 dropped, it dropped, lacking content. Within a couple months, all of a sudden they're like, well, here's the roadmap, and we're giving a map, and we're giving game modes, we're giving skins and everything, and every single month something new dropped. And I'm like, are these the same people? Because they handle it. They had everything absolutely right when it came to Halo 5, post launch. When there wasn't a lot of content there in the beginning. But post-launch and adding into the multiplayer, I'm like, are these the same people? Because it seemed like they were completely different people that just didn't understand what they did previously. So, but now seeing again the more game modes, and when it comes down to it, Halo fans are definitely Halo fans, and even if they're not playing Halo Infinite now, you take a look at those cosmetics. I mean, they got a freaking Sangheili skull, all right, and for the diehard like Halo people, that you could wear on your shoulder. Seeing all the different cosmetics and kind of like that fan service when it comes to what they look like. They're not just like clown suits or anything like that. There are things like within the Halo universe and such that people are like, oh damn, they put that in there. Oh, when's this season coming out again? All right, yeah, no, give me my controller. Here we go.
And and it's funny because Xbot, I totally hear you, and I really enjoy when you get a chance to speak on Halo because I know how passionate you are about it, and I consider you part of that Halo community, the traditional one too. But I do see people in the chat like Salt says, he feels like Xbox gave up on Gears. He said they may give up on Halo. Gaming with Personas here, he says they've already given up on it by release Halo Infinite in the state that it was in. You got to remember something. As much as I do actually love where Xbox 448's coming from, and I get that, I really do. Then there's me, I'm not a diehard Halo fan like Xbox, and I kind of want to be wowed, right? I kind of want to be taken. You want to get taken out on this date and be like taken care of, right? Show me the rope, show me everything. And I don't know if 343 came out swinging. It really kind of felt like they came out and it was just flat. And there's a lot of, believe me, this show could go into a 6-hour episode because then we can get into the whole, well, how did it get an 87 Metacritic? And we get into that whole thing. Shout out to All Day, by the way. It's great to have All Day. We got to get All Day back on the show. All Day is probably one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life. Shout out to All Day. Appreciate him being here as well. Danelle Brown's in the super chat, and he says, Danelle goes, it's Don-Nell. So Don-Nell. I can't say it with the hyphen in there, Danelle. I apologize. The action Luca goes, FYI, this is classic Luca. FYI, there's no emotion on my end. Let's chill, okay? Let's just chill. So shout out to Luca. Bush
I felt all the emotion in that
right?
super chat.
Absolutely. Oh, Jay, trust me. Okay, so let's get to this. So, Jay, I'll start with you. I want to put you on the hot seat. Love to have Jay Main on the hot seat. I love Jay's tweet, too. He's like, come by CrossFire. Trust me, it's lit. He was not wrong.
Live and lit, man.
He was not wrong. So, Jay, let me get into this. And I don't even want to kind of go with, and shout out and respect to Jaffe, by the way. I've podcasted with him before. Guys, legend in the business, this and that. You guys all know that. So he said it recently, but I do want to say that I remember even after Sony showed that bit, 3.5 minute, 4 minute clip of God of War Ragnarok, there were people saying, boy, this looks like DLC. And I do understand where the gaming community is coming from, saying that's almost kind of like just think about, I'm going to go and put myself in shoes. I'm not a developer, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I'm not a developer, guys. But if I worked on something for 3 years, and somebody called what I had made, DLC, or the community's calling it that, I could see where maybe some people that are working for Sony Santa Monica might take offense to that. Jay, where are you on the game of what God of War Ragnarok, first of all, what you saw in that 3.5, 4 minute clip we saw last, I believe it was it September? I can't remember when it was that Sony showed their showing. Well, regardless, it was it was either August or September. And where are you on the whole comment of Ragnarok being something classified as DLC?
Yeah, so I think what's ended up happening with a lot of the games that we're seeing this generation is that they're mostly, well, for the most part, they're all like cross-gen. So like even when I did see the God of War reveal trailer, I'm like, okay, it looks like a PS4 game. Like it doesn't scream out PS5. It doesn't scream out next generation to you. So when you're seeing it, I get the idea of people like saying, okay, it doesn't look like a next generation. It doesn't look like something different. What I think is ending up happening is I think a lot of people are using that term, it looks like DLC, and getting offended by it. And I'm kind of on not both sides, but I kind of understand both sides of it. Like, it doesn't look like DLC. Like, most sequels kind of look similar to what the previous game looked like, unless you're going from one generation to the next. You typically don't see that leap. But I do find that people are using that. It looks like DLC as like to like slight the game almost. Like, oh, it's more of the same. Like that's not a bad thing, especially coming off an amazing game like God of War or whatever it is. Whatever looks like more of the same. That's not a bad thing. So I think people kind of like got to chill out a little bit with taking offense to that.
Yeah. No. If I can, I want to chime on this real quick because I have experience with this whole DLC thing because I am a huge fan of Forza. Forza Motorsport and Horizon, and I deal almost on a daily basis whenever I talk about Forza Horizon 5. Just it's DLC. It's just more of the same. And it's like, well, what do you expect from another iteration of the game? And exactly like Jay said, we're still in the cross-gen space with this. And when it comes to God of War has such a huge following. The 2018 God of War has such a huge following. If what are they going to do to the sequel? Like how are they going to change it? Like it's what fans of that game want. They want more of that, but they want the story to continue.
Right.
And that's exactly what it's doing. It's continuing the story. It's going into, Ragnarok, basically the Norse end of the world situation.
Right, absolutely.
All right. So, like, are you expecting them now to, like, switch the camera back into, like, God of War 1, 2, and 3? They're not doing that. They're not going to make any drastic change like that. If you're a fan of 2018, this is the sequel to that, and you're gonna get you might get different weapons. Who knows? Like, we don't even know details within the story. They might have, you got the axe and you got the blades. Like, they might have like a new like mythical sword that Kratos gets his hands on that have a completely new kind of like way of fighting in there that they're not talking about right now because they're building up the hype for when the game comes out. And yes, people, it is coming out this year. It is the reason why they have decided to make more PS4s when it comes down to it. There's no way this game's not coming out this year either.
I think, well, it's funny because I think I saw you tweet that, Xbox. I don't know if necessarily, because when we were talking about the PS4s that were being manufactured, they said that there was only a quantity of about 1 million. I mean, that's not really that big of a number when you come down to think of it.
Dude, how many PS4s are still out there though? Think about that. Like,
well, no, it's more than what was out there for sure. I just don't think 1 million is necessarily a gargantuan figure.
What were we at? We're at like what, 140, 150 million last generation that were out there. I don't even think,
guys, I don't know if that was necessary, because I did hear Game Logic say that earlier. I thought that we were talking somewhere around the 115 mark or 120 mark is where PS4 was.
Yeah, for PS4, definitely.
Right. All right, but then again, and when it comes down to it, for the people who are looking to upgrade, that haven't had a lot of them haven't had a chance to get the PS5 yet, so they're probably still holding on to their PS4. So in the wild, there's probably still a lot of PS4s, and they're just making sure that at least if the hype builds up more than what 2018 was, they're like, well, we gotta have systems out there for people who are like, man, we got to get into this now. 2018, we missed out on that, but look at Ragnarok now. And we got to get in on this. And if there's no PS5s around, at least they have an option. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I agree. Shout out to the great Jeff Grubb who's here. And I know, Jeff, by the way, I hope you're moving and everything is going swimmingly, buddy. I know moving from one place to another is never easy. He says, to me, people saying it's DLC are going to have egg on their face. No one knows if they're holding stuff back. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Xbot448 did a really good job of saying what the progression of this story may be and will be. So at that case, I just don't feel like it's DLC. I understand. We can say that about anything, right? Sometimes we all do say that about things. I know, like,
well, Mooch. Yeah, Mooch. When it comes to Jaffe, we all know Jaffe loves the heat. When it comes down to it, man. I was on a show before I came on here. Somebody asked me to be a guest, and I'm like, yeah, but I only got an hour because it's CrossFire night tonight.
I know. Listen, I got to be honest with you. I saw you tweet that out, and I was like, what the hell's going on with Xbot? I was like, I thought maybe
if I'm not working, I'm going to be here.
I knew the plane landed in St. Louis. I didn't know another podcast was in your future.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
But they said Jaffe likes to get high.
Well, absolutely.
And
listen,
and say whatever the hell he wants to say.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Xbot, because a lot of people come on this show and they always say the same thing. I always like to bring up topics that definitely make people kind of come out of their comfort zone and definitely have an intense discussion. I think David likes to do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I got to be honest with you. I really think that's
what he said. What he says is not really like. There's nothing wrong with it because he put together a montage.
It's his opinion. First of all,
he's like, it's more the same, which is not a bad thing.
Well,
like, why
it's not. It's really not. When it comes down to it, I do agree with you guys on that.
But we all got to agree. Forza Horizon 5 is a sequel and not DLC. Thank you.
Why is it that you guys think, and I believe it was, I think it was J-Main that said it, but I mean, why is it we are saying God of War Ragnarok? Why are people not believing this is coming out this year? It's definitely coming out this year.
Well, I to be honest, I don't know, because I know when they first announced it with that trailer, and then they said it was 2021. Everybody was like, hell no, it's not coming out then. But it's definitely believable that it's coming out in 2022 to me. I just think because we only saw it once, I think that's what people are feeling like. I feel like with the 2018 game, we got that big reveal. When we first saw it, they had gameplay to go with it. And then we had like multiple trailers after that showed little glimpses of the story, a little glimpses of the gameplay. And I feel like this rollout has been much different. It's been one showing and that's it. Yeah. So I think, and then you got the recent update from Cory Barlog. They're not ready to talk about it. It's heads down. It's like, well, damn, when will you be ready to talk about it? If it is coming out this year.
So I got nervous. People got nervous when they did the reveal, when they did just the logo and the reveal, because it said 2021.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's 2022. Now, there are people out there. It's like, well, I don't know now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so my question on whether or not it comes out this year is, so if you go back to the PlayStation 3 generation, I would contend, and anybody can look these numbers up because I could be wrong. I'm old and I don't necessarily remember everything correctly. Back in that time when Sony would put out first party titles, I feel like those titles sold well, but sold in like the $8 million, $9 million kind of units kind of numbers.
Right.
And so what I used to talk about during that time frame was like when an SIE first party title came out, it was good the way they were doing their strategy of kind of spreading those titles out. But I said, everybody doesn't go play them, right? Whereas on the Xbox, when a big first party title came out like Forza or Halo, it's kind of like larger numbers of people flocked to go play them. Now in this era, I feel like those titles sell like really big numbers, like in the 19 million units or above. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe that's not accurate. But my point is that given that if that's the case, if these things come out and they kind of suck all the air out of the room when like a new Uncharted comes out or a new Last of Us 2 comes out, do you put out God of War Ragnarok in the same quarter that you're going to put out Forspoken? Because isn't that just going to smother that title and take all the attention away from it? Don't they need to kind of peanut butter and spread their titles out a little more?
I think they care more about God of War being a first party title as opposed to a second party deal when it comes down to, or a timed exclusive kind of like deal or whatnot. I know they want to make money off both, but just logic, just like you do. They crunch numbers, man, and if they feel like it's plausible,
let me throw some times out there for you guys to see if I know a lot of people don't like to discuss video games in this manner, and neither do I technically. But Gamer Logic, to answer your question, that's a good question. I would say that when it comes down to it, first of all, I do agree with Xbot. I think priority would definitely be to see God of War do better, but you want to have both of your babies do well, right? You don't want to have one do well. So hear me out. The other thing about it is that these are single-player games, right? And, and in essence, even if you're taking your time, if this is a situation where we know that Forspoken, for example, is coming out in, let's say, October, right? We know that's coming out in October. Right. Then you know what you do, and I really do think that they're going to do. And people always say this, right? So all you PlayStation guys in the chat, J-Main's about to smile when I say this. Sony can be petty. They may be petty. They might go ahead and release God of War on November 11th. And
I hope they do.
I'm just saying. I could be wrong.
But to piggyback off that point is, I think maybe they are holding God of War's release date for a little bit I feel like they want something this holiday season. I don't know. I feel like they want something because typically they don't have, the big game this holiday season.
Well, they didn't have one last year, so
yeah. Right. And I get it. Like these games can, get their own time frame, and when not a lot of third party games are coming out. But I think a game like God of War could definitely hold its own, and that shit would be good theatrics for somebody like me. I want to see a showdown. You know what I'm saying, in the holiday season between these companies.
So wait, let me Crap. I know we were talking about this in the DM one day. You said something to me like, I said, Crap, I think that they could probably go ahead and throw God of War on November 11th. You said, welcome that. Like, Starfield would welcome something like that. Is that something
sure it would. I mean, you can only play Starfield on PC and Xbox, so it wouldn't really have much of an impact on God of War, which would only be on PS4 and PS5.
Right.
feed both audiences. I think that's.
Do you think one could steal the other's thunder?
I don't think so. I think God of War is going to be. I think God of War is going to do great. I think Starfield is going to do great. I think they're both. There's room for both. I think that in general, November is going to be busy anyway because Call of Duty is probably going to have a bit of a comeback with Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are going to be hungry to get that after skipping Vanguard or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, like the leaks that they're bringing back a lot of guns that are, fan favorites, like actual guns again. So I think, I think that that's going to do like the ACR and stuff like that. So I think people are going to really jump on Call of Duty. I think companies should be a little wary of Call of Duty releasing again. Or who knows? Call of Duty might release early. There was that rumor too. But I feel like, when it comes to God of War, it's going to be great. We saw it when September of 2021. So you're looking at maybe a year since that point. Obviously, it's going to go through changes and it's going to look much better than what we originally saw. Like the whole DLC argument. DLC is in fact stuff that you need a base game to play. This is its own game.
Right.
It's ridiculous to call it DLC, to be honest with you. It kind of is what it is. It's like I never really get in for that. It's jokes, I guess you can, but for me, this game looks like it's going to be, another huge, like a big game of the year candidate. It looks amazing. I don't understand. I don't know Jaffe's stance on playing God of War 2018, but to me, I wanted that game to keep going on, so it keeps going on here. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand the problem. I
don't think that's really what the argument. I know people triggered on the term, but I don't think that was really what the argument or really the subject matter really was. I think it's really a question of did the trailer make the game look derivative? And one of my questions is, help me out, right? What in that trailer, because I've watched it, what in that trailer brought to light any innovations and any new mechanics or in gameplay mechanics that would be coming from Ragnarok?
Well, so as I think, that's a fantastic, first of all, Logic, I want to say that's a great question. because I really like the way you're kind of expanding it.
And Mooch, by the way, and that was Jaffe's point too. He was comparing and contrasting what him and Barlog did with God of War 2. We said when we put that trailer out, we wanted to show that there in fact was tangible differences between the first and second game.
Okay.
Which was his comment. So that's kind of where he was going
I appreciate,
with
and that's a great bit of insight because I did not have that insight. That's a good point. But I want to say this much: as much as I really, really do agree with Logic and that inside info that we just got also from BRAP, as I have to mute the bestcams.fun in the chat there, but the same question could be asked Logic for Gears. Like what really changed between Gears 4 and 5? Right,
and I don't disagree.
Right,
and this is
go ahead. No, I was going to say my point with God of War. I think it comes down to the 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes we saw. That may not have been, and I can't remember. I think Crap just said it. I don't know if we saw enough of the game to actually make the comment to say. I get where Jaffe's going with it, but maybe we need to see a little bit more, right?
And I think Jaffe's comment talking about what BRAP said, and I would even say it's not insider information. He said it on YouTube.
No, I was trying to make it even more special sounding on CrossFire. Yeah,
right. His point was, and I mean, like everybody's flipped out and said what he said was a derogative comment towards the developers. The developers didn't cut the trailer, and that was his point. His point was that the people who selected the content to put in the trailer did not put any content in the trailer that highlighted any innovations and newness that would be coming in God of War. And so when you look at the trailer, if you abstract yourself from that comment, from that triggering word, right, the trailer looks like that could be an add-on to the original God of War because it didn't really invoke any new mechanics. And again, I think you only trigger on it when you or just have the personality who gets really bent out of shape about those things, which goes back to me just trying to understand what triggers people and what makes a big deal for people. I guess part of my question is on this whole release thing. It's just I struggle to fall over agreeing that the game's coming out this year just because. Like we were talking about before, it just seems like there's only so much room to put out content in that time frame. You start doing things like I know Sony cares about Metacritic. I don't know that they care about the VGAs, but if you put it out in November, you start running up on the VGA cutoff zone, which is the same problem Forza Horizon 5 had. So, I know. But, I'm sorry, just to round out the comment that I made about referring back to Xbox. With me all saying that, I am also a person that says, if a game gives me more of what I loved the first time, I'm completely fine with it. People who crapped on Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, people who crap on games that are delivering kind of on the same formula, I'm like, it doesn't bother me, right? I mean, if I fell in love with a game, I want to play more of it.
So Logic, you know, it's funny you brought those two particular ones up. I was a massive Far Cry fan, especially when we get, and I know everybody says it, so everybody's really numb in the ears to hear this, but I really, truly loved, I played the hell out of Far Cry 3. And then, you know, 4 was kind of the same. 5 was exactly the same. 6 is, my God, the same. And Forza Horizon, for me, you can go back to the MNCs where me and Crap were talking 4 or 5 years ago, okay? Like, I've been saying, and I'm not going to use... one more festival, and I'm going to lose it. Right? Xbox remembers. I legitimately, I do agree with you with I have no problem. For some reason, Gears formula doesn't bother me as much. I don't really care where they took the story. But as far as playing Gears of War itself, I don't need them to change anything drastic for me to enjoy those mechanics. Feel the same here with God of War. For some reason, when it comes to Far Cry, and maybe because Far Cry is such a massive map, right? Such a big game that to have that repetitive nature, I'll throw another one at you, Logic, is Assassin's Creed games, right? So repetitive, same thing, such a big open map. It just got so stale and long in the tooth within the first 6-7 hours. And I'm sure there's people in the chat listening later to go, Mooch, I completely disagree. I played Valhalla till my thumbs bled. I get it. You're a fan. I'm not taking that away from you. But from somebody who's just occasionally likes to play those games got long in the tooth really, really quick. I don't feel that Gears, as far as gameplay, and I don't feel that Ragnarok is going to give anybody that long in the tooth feel. I think when we get that axe back in our hands, it's going to be like we never left. You know, it's going to be like good times galore. I do want to jump over real quick here. I just had a point because I promised. I believe it was the Rogue Inquisitor. I think he's known as PlayStation Inquisitor on Twitch. But shout out to the Rogue Inquisitor who asked a question in the super chat early on. I want to ask you guys a question. Again, I'll go back and start with Jay Main, put him on the hot seat. Jay, we're back at this. Jay, we're back on the ads again, coming to Xbox and PlayStation.
Boy.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. I went ahead and had some fun in some DMs talking with the guys. But realistically, you know, like the mountain. You remember? I believe it was Mountain Dew that was in the Death Stranding, or I can't remember what the soda was.
Monster.
Yeah, thank you, Monster Energy drinks. Yeah. I got to be honest with you. Maybe it's because I'm coming from the '80s. You know, I'm a generation. I'm an '80s kid. I get it. I see these types of things if they're non-intrusive or they don't bother me, they don't flash, they don't give me an epileptic seizure. If it's just an ad or something as I'm walking by, I would almost rather see when I'm driving by in GTA 6 a big thing for Pepsi and Doritos on a billboard than just some made-up bag of chips and soda. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't necessarily care if the companies can pocket some change. But if it's something that's in my face or a pop-up or something wacky, that's different. So where are you, Jay?
That's exactly what I'm worried about, because when I hear like ads in game, I start to think about like mobile. Well, the article actually said that like they were targeting maybe free-to-play games. So then I start to think about mobile games. Like, you know, you download a mobile game for free, and then, you know, you start like after each round you play or something like that, then you get the ad shit that pops up and you gotta either wait a certain amount of seconds to skip it, or you just gotta sit through the whole damn thing and watch it.
Right.
That's the type of stuff that I think will get annoying, because I just don't want to see shit like that, like in between a round and before a round starts or something like that. That'll be annoying. But something like what you mentioned, like GTA, you playing GTA and you see a billboard, or even the Monster drink with Death Stranding, that stuff didn't bother me. That didn't feel intrusive.
I thought it brought some mainstream credibility to video games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not only that, I just thought it kind of brought like more realism to it. Like that shit be dope as hell if we start seeing like real stuff. And like I know people feel like ads they prey on the consumer or whatever. I don't feel that way. Like I don't know. I can't remember the last time I felt like an ad made me want to go out and purchase.
Well, you made a good, First of all, I'm with you on that, Jay. But the other point is, I kind of like your point though. If it ends up being like the mobile games, or something where it's constantly flashing up in front of you, that's a problem. But I don't think that they would ever think about it. What Microsoft or Sony or even Nintendo, what developing company would ever want their experience tarnished? Okay, I wish we had a poll going. I could have got Xbot. I said tarnished in a sentence on the show. But listen.
Oh,
thank you, folks.
Bingo.
But listen, literally, what dev team would want to tarnish their game with something that would take you out of the experience? I would say none. None. Nobody would want that. No artist would want something like that. So it would have to be in the way that Death Stranding did it.
Remember NBA 2K when the basketball season was over and they didn't have that show anymore? Their kind of like basketball show. So they put it out to like advertise like was it TV shows and stuff like that, and kind of like the flack that they got for that because it was in a loading screen. And we all know 2K, like when it was loading previous generation, that took a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they can't get away with it now though with the SSDs. Like you bullshit now if you show me a 30-second ad and try to call it loaded.
Now it would definitely be optional if they put it on there because like you could just as soon as it's done loading in the background, you get hit A and it'd be really quick. But I think the tech, at least on the Xbox side, the tech that they're developing, I think it's for kind of like the billboard situation in a game, or the cans on the kitchen table as you're walking through it, and I agree with you guys in that aspect. It makes it more real because it's stuff that you come across in your real life as opposed to the spin-offs to Pepsi or Coca-Cola or stuff like that you see in like GTA. I remember thinking in GTA 5, it would be so cool if it wasn't that burger place, or it was actually like
Fucking Bell.
It would be a Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Or something
So
like
wait
that.
a minute.
It would
So
have some crazy
I gotta
graffiti on
give.
the side of that or
So you know what? You want to talk about annoying? So here's the thing. So shout out to Jeff Grubb. This is a great point, Jeff. Outstanding point. This actually did bother me. He says, "What about the ads for Norman Reedus' motorcycle show?" When you took a crap in Death Stranding, it was a shower or a crap, I think. But here's my point. That did bother me.
It was a crap.
It was a crap? Okay, so Brad, hear me out. You know why it bothered me? Here's the thing. First of all, I am one of the only people, myself and BitCloud are the only two people left on Earth that watch The Walking Dead. And Paul Tassi. But I don't know if Paul Tassi likes it anymore or he's doing it because of work. I'm not sure. I talked to Paul. I got to ask him that. But my point is this. That got annoying as hell. And that was a little too much of like, that's not a Pepsi. That's
Can you
not
explain
a
that
McDonald's.
to me though? I didn't
You don't-
play Death Stranding
you didn't
too
play
much.
Death Stranding. So when you went to use the restroom or take a shower, these like doors would shut on you, and it would have Norman Reedus's. I can't remember. It was a show he had after Walking Dead. It was like ride with Norman Reedus.
The motorcycle show.
Show he had. It had the advertisement for AMC when the doors shut. That was. I got to be honest with you. That was kind of throwing shit in your face, and I thought that was not right because that has nothing to do with the game. You might go, well, Mooch, what the hell does Monster Energy drinks have to do with it? Dude, he drank the drinks. He's walking across the damn country. He apparently needs a Monster. Look, that's fine. I get that. But why are you advertising something on AMC that's in our world? You know what I mean? That's just weird. I thought that was odd. So, Jeff, good call on that one.
And we talked about this on BRAP show earlier this week. So those are two different implementations, right? The one they're talking about and the one that you guys saw in Death Stranding. So in Death Stranding, that's essentially an example of them actually coding that into the game, right? So if you go and play Death Stranding 10 years from now, those same ads are going to be there in their same original format. They're not going to change. The implementation that is under discussion now, at least on the Microsoft side, is talking about integrating ad tech with free-to-play games, and specifically, right on the Microsoft side, at least, it's they talk specifically about it's for free-to-play games. And what that would allow to happen is for an ad tech company, which is a company that has hundreds of other companies that are subscribed to it as a service, right? And then they create basically a catalog of ads that they can serve out at a daily basis, right? So if you kind of look at your browser, right, and if you go to a website 12:57 on a day, it's got one set of ads, and then if you come back at 15:25, it's got a different set of ads, right?
Right.
And so that's the integration that's under discussion, at least on the Microsoft side. I think Sony's planning the same thing, but I haven't read that article.
I appreciate that insight, Logic. Shout out to Who Are You, Mooch Maniac family member. He goes, Reedus got it in his contract that he gets to advertise his show for appearing in a game. I can't blame the guy for good negotiation skills. Who Are You? I can't blame him either for what he did there, but I will say this much. It's just not well placed. I really don't think that was well placed. It was unnecessary, had nothing to do with the game at all. It made you lose the immersion a bit. Here I am, I just trucked through, right? Multiple states. I'm delivering all these packages. You're hearing all this heartache. You get back. And honestly, if you did play the game, especially the early parts of the game, before you get the traction and the gear and the legs and the things like that make the walking a little easier, it was quite a task on your hands to keep him upright with 55,000 things above his shoulders. You got back, you felt his kind of like, he sits down, he cleaned off, he sits down, he's like, man, just beat, you walk over, you grab a can of soda, I get, but close the doors, and all of a sudden I'm reminded that on AMC at 10 p.m. Eastern time, Ride with Norman Reedus is on after your favorite Walking Dead show. It took you out of the it took me out. I didn't care for that.
I could feel you on that one.
You know what I'm saying?
So one thing I want to add is, and I apologize, I'm going to go off on one of my religious crusades here, is just, and I don't mean you guys. So I understand that there are people who don't like ads. There's also I will call them a faction of gamers on Twitter and various conversations that are enraged that such a nefarious thing be put into games. One of the things I would go back to that I mentioned before, which is like gamers' behavior and our verbalization of, how we feel about certain topics needs to match how we act and behave on the market. So one of the things that I did, just because it was kind of a foot-stomping moment, was I put together a list of top 25 games that came out in 2021 that don't have any alternate types of monetization. Mm-hmm. So they don't have microtransactions. They don't have, today, at least expansion packs. They don't have season passes or battle passes.
Okay.
At best, they have like a soundtrack that you can buy. One of my things is like and again, I'm not talking to you guys, I'm just kind of speaking in generalities, right? If people don't like the idea of ads in games, then people should go play the games that don't have alternative types of monetization in them, right? And they should buy them and they should pay full price for them so that, again, the market is incentivized to know that that is a thing that is desired. I don't know that you're going to overturn the vast momentum there is behind people wanting to play free-to-play games, because those are sometimes market demographics that have a socioeconomic status that they cannot afford to do otherwise. And so that's a on-ramping and an entry point that I don't think you're going to overcome. However, if you want to incentivize the market to do things that aren't going to drive towards ads, go play the games that don't have alternate forms of monetization in them and pay full price for them.
I'll tell you. Now, so BRAP, let me ask you, what's your take on this? Everything from what Grubb had mentioned on Death Stranding to what we're probably going to be dealing with in the future. Is this something you can tolerate, or is this something that annoys you?
I mean, if it's egregious and it's something that they force me to, take part in, like I'm not going to be happy with that. But, I do agree with what Game Logic says. The market will dictate these things. And, if these things are accepted by the market, and I hope they're not, and I hope that when I say I hope they're not, because I'm concerned that they would be used in a way that's very egregious.
Right.
Then that I'm not okay with that. Like, obviously we talked about like Norman Reedus, and yes, he is taking a shit in the AMC show.
Right.
What's it, Last Ride, I think it's called. Yeah,
Last Ride or Ride with Norman Reedus. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, as he's taking a shit, you hear the motorcycle go,
simulate. Yeah, no, that's even worse.
Yeah, no, and the monster placement, and it's not, and it's not. This is the first time that we've had advertisements in game. Burger King's done this, and I think it was FIFA. Somebody mentioned Obama, I think, on BRAP. The Obama campaign in 2008 was it Burnout or? One of the racing games.
I don't remember that, but someone.
I think it was Burnout. Yeah, I think.
Was it Burnout? Right. Obama. Yeah, Obama had his presidential. At the time he's running for president. His first nomination as president, he's running for office, and his campaign, whatever, was on the billboard. So, Yeah, look, I don't want this to be egregious.
Yeah.
That's my concern. I don't want to be a situation where we're forced to watch ads or that we have to pay into tiers where we,
yes.
Like that's what I'm worried about. Because GTA has like their subscription service, so you like just imagine like if you're in the subscription service, you don't get ads or some shit like that.
But again, I do agree with what Game Logic is saying is that what if as gamers, consumers, if we're not happy with something, we need to vote with our wallets because that's the only way that these developers companies. That's the only way they'll not.
But what's funny? So, Brap, I'm with you.
And there's examples of this, by the way, where if you guys remember back that 2 generations ago, there was a thing where if you bought a used game, you had to like pay, I think, a license or something to unlock that used game.
Oh.
And consumers said no, we're not doing that.
That's right. Yes.
Not only were consumers
the online
vocal
passes.
about
Yes,
that,
right, Jay.
Yeah, the online pass. Thank you. Not only were consumers vocal about that, but they spoke with their wallets and they said, no, we're not buying that. And they didn't buy it. They didn't support it. And then the community, the industry walked that back. So we do have to vote with our wallets and, not just speak loudly, but also speak with our wallets as well.
The one thing you said though, Brap, and Brap says it 100%, but it's funny that expression is starting to get harder and harder as a consumer. Do you guys feel me on that? Like, I'll give you an example. So, Brap says we have to vote with our wallet. If we see something like that happening, we just don't buy it. But, Brap, we talk about this all the time. FOMO, right? So, like, a game comes out, and I don't think that they're going to do this in small, minuscule games where you might go, you know what? The hell with that. I'm passing on that game. I keep using this big name. We just talked about it a few moments ago, GTA 6. I like to use that as an example because I find it very right. I find it very hard to believe that if Doritos and Nikes and Mercedes-Benz is being advertised, I don't feel people are skipping out on GTA 6. At least not initially.
No, they're not.
Right, they're not. Right. So this is the thing. They know people won't not buy the game. So even though I completely agree with BRAP, it's like you vote with your wallet. In this case, I'm finding it as we continue to go down this pipe that we're going down. I don't want to say consumers have no say. We have plenty. But it gets harder in these instances to say we're not going to buy that game if it's something you really wanted to play, but something as maybe minute as advertising does get in the way. Do you know what I mean? Is that something that, do you guys see where I'm going with that? Or you go, and by the way, I have no problem being wrong. If you guys feel I'm wrong, let me know.
My question is, and I've had that argument thrown at me several times. My question is that the industry's fault or is that the consumer's fault?
Great question, Logic. Great question.
I think it's a battle too because you have
I think it's both.
The hardcore who might speak up about it, but then you also have like the casual market. Like with GTA, people are gonna buy that shit. They don't give a fuck about what we might feel like it's intrusive or might be complaining about, and then they see that like, oh well, people are still buying the game, so we don't give a fuck. Like we don't care that the minority, the vocal minority, is upset about it. We just keep doing what we want.
J-Man, we buy water. It's the most abundant natural resource on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a second. I mean, seriously.
And I mean, where I come down on that is, and I'm sorry, I just come down on that's a consumer problem, in my opinion. Like, I can't, like, to me, it's no different than whatever your moral and ethical issues are with buying a game. Like, if the Activision behavior stuff bothers you and their labor practices bother you, you shouldn't buy Activision games. And I don't, in my mind, it's, and I hate to put it, it's not acceptable.
I actually did that, Mooch.
What's that?
It's not
I didn't buy the last Call of Duty, remember?
Right.
Yeah. And people should make those choices. I mean, I hate to say it, and I know people hate hearing it, right? People have to be adults and make choices, and it's not the industry's fault, I feel like, if they make a game so good that you feel like you need to compromise your principles to play it.
But I want to come back to what we just said a second ago, because that was actually a really good point. Is this on the consumer or is this on them? Is this on the manufacturer, in this case, the game maker? I mean, is that something? I actually, you know what? I've been thinking about that since you said it.
On the consumer, because I think for them, it's their job to make money. they're gonna do whatever they got to do to make money. That's it's a business. So it's our job to, like y'all been saying, to vote with our wallets and point out the bullshit.
So I mean, Jay, I gotta be honest with you. I love where you're coming from, but like I just said, the minute I just say, imagine if I said to you, Jay, I call you up, Jay, GTA 6 is flooded. It's flooded with advertisements. Actually, even the pop-up ones you hate. You'd be like, yeah, Mooch, that's cool, man. But I'm like number 3 in line to pick up this limited edition joint. So right. So I mean, like, that's why I want to say, you know what, Jay? I'm not gonna put it on you. I'm not gonna put it on you because you know why? You're paying $70 for that, right? You put that money into it. They asked you for 70. You gave them 70. If you want to put a couple of ads in there that I don't even notice, like they're kind of like subliminal messages, I'm cool with that. I think that we have to kind of put it onto the developing team and the corporations to go ahead and make money. Because listen, guys, if they don't make money, we don't get games. I want them to make money. I really do. People always say, why do you care? You should care to a certain extent, because if the company you happen to love or the companies you happen to love don't make money, they're not going to be your companies that you love very much longer. So I have no problem with that. But if they're asking us for that 70, I'm already saying I'm cool with that. Here, take that. There you go. Now, you can't abuse the system after that. So that's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. Again, I want to say that I want the customers to take some responsibility, but when it's baked into the game, all me and you can do, Jay, is wait 10 years for our favorite game to come out, find out they pissed us off, and then not buy it and wait another 10 years. That's not like life's too short to wait 20 years to wait to GTA 7 when they learned their lesson. You know what I mean? So like I think it's on them to say we did a price hike, right? You know what I mean? That's like, listen, Jay, you come in, you buy something from my store. And now you've been buying it for like 2 years. It's $20 flat. Now you come in, I go 25. You're like, what's the deal, man? What happened? I'm like, well, this went up. This happened. Inflation, blah, blah, blah. You go, all right, whatever. Here's $25. I get it. And then on the way out the door, I ask you for $3 more. You know what I mean? You're like, whoa, what the? What? Take what? A $3 bag charge? Listen, stop it. You know what I mean? Either make it. You should have made it $8 at the register. $5 plus the $3. I would have known no different. You asked me for a price. I gave it to you. You can't keep hitting me after that. So I think that's where we actually have to put a bit of the responsibility back on them. That's my take on it. Now, again, I do want to go back to my first comment. I think everybody agrees with me here. Crap, tell me if you agree or don't agree, because, I mean, we talked about ads being in games ages ago, and now all of a sudden it's kind of coming, well, this is kind of going to be right in our face. Is this really is this a problem for you? Do you see my point where it's got to be more on the developer or the manufacturer side, if you will, or the company side than ours? Because we can't just boycott everything. Did I lose crap?
Oh, you're not there?
Oh, no. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, go ahead, crap.
Okay, I was going to say, like, you know, these things take care of themselves, really. I mean, when you look at the feedback that people give one way or the other, I mean, Xbox wanted to, you know, do always online and things like that, and feedback made them change it in a quick pace. On Sony's side, they weren't going to honor the free upgrade for Horizon Forbidden West. Feedback made them quick and change that. I think, especially if it's something that they're trying to implement that they can do just server side, I think they'll probably pretty quickly change it if there's a lot of negative feedback. When you read the actual article, it says that Microsoft was wary to do this in the first place and didn't want to be obtrusive to gamers. It was just something that they put in or were thinking about for certain free-to-play games as a bonus for those developers that make those games. And it was going to be something like a billboard or something along those lines. And they weren't going to take a cut of the money. They weren't going to take any money whatsoever from it. It was all going to be able just to go to the developer doing it. You know, I guess it depends on what it is. Like I can't really think that I play. Yeah, I don't play a lot of free-to-play games. I would think it would be an issue regardless if it's in a full-priced game or you know, a regular game. I think then there's a problem. But in a free-to-play game, and as long as it's not like a pop-up ad or something that you have to watch, then I don't have, you know, I don't really care.
That's an interesting point, crap. I didn't think about that. Now, the free-to-play games are the new sensation. I mean, whether we all as hardcore gamers want to agree or don't, that's a big deal. So if Warzone 2, which is supposed to be coming out, late 2023, I mean, that thing could be flooded with ads.
I mean, they probably could, but I mean, what if they did ads like I think originally in PUBG, like Red Bull was the brand for the energy drink, and now it's not. It just looks like a Red Bull can. Something like that where they could maybe change those things over or whatever. I don't really have an issue with that. It could actually help with emergent, or like, maybe they do the Burger Town map, and instead of Burger Town, it's Burger King or whatever. I think that there's a way you can implement it to where it can actually help immersion, but I also think that it could really hurt immersion as well if they do too much of it, or if they try to do something that's silly. But I think that, hopefully they don't do that, and I think they're already paying attention to what people are saying, because a lot of people are already talking about it. So if it's something that's going to be looked at as a super negative, I think they'll drop it pretty quick. I can't imagine these companies want the negative press surrounding some of this stuff right now. Like, it's not worth it to them, especially like if you're Microsoft, you're not getting anything from this anyway, honestly.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't make any sense.
Well, they would get a cut, right? Crap. I mean,
no, they don't want anything.
Oh, they don't.
They're not. They're not taking anything.
Why would they agree to it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
They want to put it in there to help developers to make more money. That's all it is to, and to entice developers. To entice the way I read it was they want to entice developers to put free-to-play games on Xbox.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, the only thing is, I guess my remember my point a few moments ago, not to kind of say it over and over again, but like, think about it for a second here, fellas. Why would you as a developer want something to intrude the experience for your your gaming community? That kind of, I mean, again, unless it's done in a very classy way.
Well, I think it all goes back to risk. And I'm not saying crap is wrong. I just didn't read the part about them about the enticement. What I read was that, in the way I've interpreted it, is that some developers have asked for this, and that Microsoft is looking at implementing it. And what it is it is a way to, like I said, I'm not necessarily thinking entice. I'm thinking more that it is a monetization option for developers who want to deploy free-to-play games. And the whole reason for it to be there is for them to de-risk their investment, right? For them to deploy a free-to-play game, well, further de-risk it, right? The initial de-risking is putting in the microtransactions, right? And your hope is that people will find it more appealing to make smaller microeconomic exchanges in a barter system, right? Rather than ponying up $30 or $10 or $60 or whatever. That's the whole point behind the microtransactions. You further de-risk that when you put in ads, because there is a system of guaranteed payment where simply by serving those ads, you're going to collect some revenue. So if you deploy a game, we think about things like Rocket Arena that didn't really survive right after it came out. We talk about like Knockout City, which hasn't done particularly well, too much further after its launch. And those were games that had a publisher backing them. But the point is, if you put out an independent game that's free to play, you now would have an option to go with ad tech and collect some revenue to de-risk the possible risk that somebody would start playing your game and not buy any microtransactions, or buy them at a rate and at a volume and at a number that doesn't meet your needs to recoup your investment.
Well, this is all good news to know. I got to be honest with you guys. Outstanding. I learned a lot from the panel tonight, in all honesty, and the chat. You guys are all awesome. I kept everybody here well over the 2-hour mark here in New York. My New York Mets are on the road, so their start time is 9:45 p.m. Eastern time. So I get to actually, I get the game a little bit tonight. I will be going back to my God of War 3, checking that out again. Because Jay Main is just, he basically said to me, how dare you insult me like that?
How dare you?
I can't, Jay, I'll never do it to you again, I promise.
I need you to get that platinum.
I'm going to do it.
You know what I mean? Before Ragnarok gets here, you got to have this God of War 3 platinum.
The next time, that's how much I'm going to make this a state of urgency. Before you come back on the show, which I'm going to have you back on the show real soon, by the way, I have to show you the plat. Guys, I want to say thanks to everybody here. Please, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the join button if you want to become a Mooch Maniac family member. It really helps the channel. Didn't tell you guys this at the beginning of the show, but I will tell you now. I'm working with Rich, who works, me and him work hand in hand with all the design stuff on the channel, along with @JMatrix76. And I'm going to be doing a little something different in the next 2 or 3 weeks with CrossFire. It'll still be Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, but we're going to do something a little bit different. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Well, you guys are going to be the judge of it, so just stay tuned. I'll let you know more as the weeks get closer, but I'm working on it behind the scenes this weekend, and hopefully it's in the next 2-3 weeks. Really won't take long to set this one up at all. We've already done all the background legwork. That being said, I'll go in reverse order here and say shout out to my boy Game Logic, who came on the show. Logic, I got to be honest with you. I know you've done some podcasting, but you're a natural, buddy. You took to the microphone. You answered everything. Outstanding answers, by the way. And you talked me into certain things, which is great. So, Logic, let people know where they can find you on Twitter, YouTube, anywhere. And I can't wait to have you back on the show. Logic, you are muted, though. That mute will get you every time. Right? Jay,
is he there?
He's here.
Did he leave?
No, he's here.
No.
But
I software muted because I saw that my mic was showing open mic on YouTube. Hey, I got to be honest with you, and I apologize. But starting with Wednesday night when BRAP asked me the same question, I've actually determined that I don't actually want to be found, right? And then if people want to find me, they can and they will, on their own. Shout out to the chat for anybody who happened to follow me during the show. They were able to pick up on it and figure it out. So people should find me if they want to seek me out. I'd say some things that make people angry, so stick away from free advertisement.
Well,
and
Logic, you did a great job with the chat tonight. They were all over you tonight, buddy. So I love it, though. I think that's part of CrossFire. So it's great to have you here, Logic. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you giving your opinion, buddy. And we will talk again very, very soon.
Thanks a lot.
You got it. Then my boy here, Jay Main, another New Yorker. He's a Mets fan. You know what the problem is, though, Jay? Jay, you're not a Knicks fan.
Why would I traumatize myself by
I know.
becoming a Knicks
Listen,
fan?
why can't you just be in misery with me? Come on, man. I mean, you're a Brooklyn fan, which is fine. I respect that. You guys got the team right now. If we can get rid of Dolan, we might be able to get some talent.
We don't know too right now. It ain't looking too pretty. So
well, listen, it's Boston. You can come back. I got no doubt in that. You're still New York. So Jay, listen, honestly, let people know where they can find you. Everybody wants to know where they're going to be able to find you after these upcoming weeks. And thanks for being here tonight, buddy. It truly means a lot.
Absolutely, definitely appreciate you having me on. Great show today. Shout out to the chat. Y'all was on fire tonight. Yeah. Saw a couple names in there that I know and would love to see in the chat. So definitely appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm JMain518 across the board, Twitter, YouTube. You can definitely find me on Twitter. YouTube, I will get more consistent with, especially with Press Start Podcast. So I got to get my thoughts off somewhere, and what better place than my own channel. So definitely check me out over there. And let's fucking go Mets, man.
Thank God somebody agrees with me. It's nice to have Jay in the house. Jay, appreciate you being here, man. And shout out to everybody over at Press Start Podcast. Again, you guys did an outstanding number of years, and just thanks for the content, man. That's all I can say is thanks for keeping us entertained on Thursday nights and doing your thing and keeping everything so real over there. So I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely,
Jay. Thank you. And then I got BRAP, PC Rules, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. BRAP, let people know where they can find you, buddy. And I got news for you. After watching the Mets tonight, I may need to have a couple of drinks. We'll see what happens. BRAP's not muted. I lost BRAP.
Oh no, I'm here.
Okay, that's fine. I know I went over 2 hours.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta go deal with a neighbor.
Oh, okay. No, BRAP, do you want me to do your outro for you?
No, I gotta go deal with a neighbor who was kind of being an asshole to my wife. So.
Oh no.
Oh, she's like, I'm not going anywhere. Never mind.
You're not going anywhere. But she's like, you podcast. You stay over there and podcast.
Yeah, exactly. She probably heard me talking crap earlier. Anyhow. No, Mooch, look, man, appreciate the time as always, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Big shout out to everyone to live chat. Come check out BRAP Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We actually had Jeff Grubb on and Game Logic on this past Wednesday.
Nice.
So definitely check out that show. Again, BRAP Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, YouTube, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks again, Mooch. Appreciate it, man.
You got it, BRAP. Appreciate you being here, buddy. And then, of course, I'll do the outros. Xbot448, he had to leave early. So shout out to Xbot448. He had his next podcast last night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's every Thursday at 8 p.m. You guys can find him at Xbot448 everywhere. And then, of course, Crap had to leave early, too. That's _CrapGamer on Twitter and CrapGamer Reviews on YouTube. Go over and check out Crap as well. Guys, outstanding show tonight like usual. Yes, we had discussions. Things happened. It's Crossfire. We don't light candles and sing Kumbaya. We have discussions. They get a little heated, but guess what? We're all gamers, we're all friends, and we all love gaming. That being said, guys, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. As always, peace out and good night.